ho, ho, I'm hungry. Santa, my pebbles. Your pebbles? 'Tis the season to be sharing, Fred. Happy holidays, pal. Oh, Fred. Fruity and Cocoa Pebbles cereals, part of this nutritious breakfast. Ho, 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 ho.
Hello, everybody. Getting started soon. Just got a couple more things to get set up here, but we'll get going. Got Ash Guy again. Christian producing.
What up?
Episode's gonna get started in a couple of minutes.
It's gonna be a wild ride, motherfuckers. Get ready.
It's gonna be a wild ride. Mr. Toads, in fact.
Probably gonna be pretty normal.
Then a pretty normal show.
Mr. Toad's pretty normal ride.
Nobody told Chef that I fucked up the thread earlier today and I had to repost it, okay?
I'll never know.
He'll never know. Exactly.
Tweet.
All right, looks good. Okay. Yeah. Let's tweet.
Tweet.
What the hell else did I play this week?
Been a long day.
Okay. That looks good. We can test the music. That means get the music up and going. Quit Descript. I don't need that running in the background.
PC blow up.
Yeah, it's going to be like, I want to use the GPU now. I'm like, you ain't doing shit.
What's up with audio
What is
software? This
Oh,
it's kind of
it's bad.
Audio software sometimes like I'm gonna choose to destroy your entire PC.
Yep. All right.
Because use
Stream Deck
all your
just
PC.
Yeah, stopped working. Yeah, I mean, I think computers were never meant to understand audio. Is I think what it came down to, and so we created it. Yeah, right. We created digital audio, and it was an affront to God, and we're paying for it ever since. Okay, Stream Deck is just gonna be broken for me. It seems like okay, no, maybe it's coming to life now.
Do we want to talk about that Valve leak?
Which one? Oh yeah, the Deadlock. Yeah, I'm interested to hear your take on it. Throw that in there.
Yeah, hang on. Let me get the link to it that Chris sent me, the one tweet.
Okay. All right, everybody. Once we get that in there, we're going to get started. Let's test the music.
Yum, yum.
Yum, yum. You hear that? All right. It's turned up for both you and for the recording and for the stream.
All right.
I think we're locked in. Ashka, can you count to 5 for me real quick?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Perfect. Just like the referee from Super Punch Out. Okay.
Let's see.
Jazz Cabbage needs to hit someone's vape. Someone help him out. Okay.
Do it.
No, dismiss. OBS and YouTube, I do not want you running your ads on your own. I have a big button right there to do that myself. Ash Guy, are you good? Or you want me to give you another minute?
Just let me finish typing this.
Sure thing.
Okay.
Oh, we got a typer on the house. Everybody, let's go.
Yes, I am typing. You got me.
Okay.
He's typing.
So everybody stand back. He is typing. He's actually finished typing.
Yes,
all right. If I count us in, are we good?
Yes. Let's do it.
All right.
10-4, let's go.
Then I'm going to do exactly that. There's a new button here in OBS, so I'm just going to ignore that.
Ooh.
All right. In 5, 4, 3. The truth lies. You're busy. Let's do this. Welcome to the Game Mess Decides podcast. This is the podcast where we decide everything about the world of games so you never have to think for yourself. I'm your host, Jeff Grubb, and with me is
AJ Minotti.
In today's episode, a new UK bill might force Apple to allow Fortnite on iOS. Neil Druckmann is about to make games cool once and for all. And Black Ops 6 and the Mount Rushmore of PlayStation 1 games. All that and more. But first, Ash Guy, how are you doing?
I am doing very well. How are you, Jeffrey Michael Grubb?
Doing pretty good. Very busy. Very like every minute is accounted for, like always, but in a good way. Still feeling good about everything. Was able to relax a little bit this evening before the show, and I always appreciate that on the Tuesdays and Thursdays where it's like work all day, and then have a podcast at night. It could be a lot sometimes, but it's like I've gotten pretty good at getting into the flow of, I have a few hours here. I'm allowed to just relax. And so I did that tonight, and that was nice.
It was great. It helped that five gifted memberships.
Thank you, Jazz. I appreciate that, man. Good looking out, dude.
Look at that.
Yeah, just one of the good ones out there. One of the good ones. It's it is a little bit of, like on Twitter when I'm like, hey, these people are being dumbasses asking about the PlayStation Showcase. As soon as I look away, all that stuff leaves and I don't think about it. So it's like, I think people are like, oh, are you in a really bad mood about that? I'm like, no, I'm fine. I don't really think about it at all. It's just so absurd in the moment that it's fun to dunk on them a little bit. But I'll say what I've been saying. If people are gonna come here and ask about it, or they're gonna watch this later. Win PS Showcase, Nick. That's what I get right now, and all my replies is win PS Showcase. Or where am I? PlayStation Showcase is another one I got. Hey, May's not over, and next week is still May, is what I'll say.
Yes. It's gonna be May.
It's gonna be May. I know people there's Memorial Day on Monday. It's still May. It's still gonna be May next week. So yep, not in Japan and not in a lot of places. And I think that you will probably not, you won't get through next week without getting the answer to the question that you're looking for. So, yeah, I don't know. But you've been playing any games recently that got you excited? Obviously, we'll be talking about them later. But I'm very happy to have started Thousand Year Door, which I thought was going to come out late tonight and came out earlier today. So that was new for me. Good. Yeah, it was
that's exciting.
Yeah, most Nintendo games typically they wait until late at night, but maybe they've changed things. I don't really know. But I'm very happy about that. I'm looking forward to spending this week and playing that game. You got anything like that?
Not really. I'm playing stuff, but nothing. Can't wait for the weekend.
Sure. I get it. Yeah.
I'm just gonna play games. We're doing yard work this weekend, so
I know that too. Yes, I'm gonna be doing a lot of cleaning around the house. I did the yard work last weekend. But you're not chomping at the bit for X Defiant.
No, I did install it after we talked about it on Tuesday. I'll fire it up, but I have my issues when was that the last summer they had the beta for
That's right, yes.
I felt like I was dying immediately, but I couldn't kill anybody, even though I was hitting people.
A little bit of that when I tried it the other day. Definitely got what you were getting at there, where it's that time to kill is so fast, and yet it's maybe I don't have the right weapon. It's once you start questioning that shooter,
that's what makes you think. Yeah, it's oh, maybe I'm not using the meta weapon. And then it's why are all these other weapons even here? And then,
exactly, and I hate thinking that way. So I don't know. Maybe I'll play that on Giant Bomb at some point. It's definitely something I wanted to try, but we'll see. I don't know. Other than that, still looking forward to the Summer Game Fest, going out to LA here in a matter of weeks now.
Pimp out the show. Tell the people to see you live.
Live at the Bellwether in Los Angeles, California. You can get tickets for our live show, night 3 of Giant Bomb at night. Tickets are on sale now. If you go to the Ticketmaster website, if someone wants to drop the link in chat, feel free to do that. But it's, Ticketmaster website. If you search Giant Bomb, you'll find us at the Bellwether. Get your tickets now. Apparently there's like VIP packages. I don't, Backlar says that. I don't know what that involves. Maybe there's a Q&A or something with this. I'm not really sure. But just get your tickets. Come to the show. Come hang out. It's going to be fun. Dan's planning some weird stuff to happen on that stage in between the segments, I'll say. And it'll be worth being in person for that stuff. So, yeah.
You guys have some very cool special guests.
Yes. We're going to have
Jason Schreier will be there.
Alana
Pierce. Paris, Lily, Patrick Klepek, and I don't want to say his name incorrectly because you probably know how to say it better.
Iffy. Yes, Iffy's going to be there as well. Nawadaway, I believe.
I'm not going to try. Yes. Thank you. I wasn't going to try his last name. And then I like how he gets by on a technicality, but it's funny that Mike Minotti has to be listed as a special guest.
Exactly. We like, it's like fun to have those conversations. Like, throw him up there as a special guest. Why not? But get those tickets now. It's going to be a good time, and it'll be worth it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's being live streamed too, right?
Yeah, it'll be live streamed. Yes, absolutely. You should watch it at home if you can't make it to Los Angeles. Yes, we'll make a meal out of it for sure.
There you go.
Thank you everybody for joining us. You can get more from Mike and me by joining the Patreon at patreon.com/GameMess. Give us a good rating wherever you are listening and hit the like button on YouTube. It helps people find the show. If you want to ask a question, you can do so by dropping a super chat on YouTube while the show is live. We'll get to all of those before the end of the program. Thank you to Carlos Ain, who is Insane in the Rain Music on YouTube, for the use of our theme songs. Thanks to 1UP vs. CPU for our artwork. You can find more at 1UpVersusCPU.com. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and wherever pods are caught. Thank you to the mods, and support us by once again going to patreon.com/GameMess, which gets you access to our Discord server, the monthly Q&A, participation in our monthly Game Club discussions, 1 month early access to new episodes of Game Mess Jeopardy and Columbros, and of course, all of our shows ad-free. Columbros will get recorded once Mike gets back in town. There is that recent episode of Jeopardy. You should check that out. That was a lot of fun. I will do a monthly Q&A probably this weekend. And then, of course, there's that $2 tier, which is new if you just want access to the Discord. So go if you join any of the other tiers, you get all this stuff. The $2 tier, it will get you just into the Discord. But if that's what you care about, that's there and available for you. And once again, as always, thanks to everybody who's been joining recently. Always feels like I look every week and there's like a handful of people joining, and it's like, oh man, this is really nice. A lot more people are joining the club. And then I look at the numbers and it's like, it's always creeping up. So just means a lot. Makes it very easy to have the energy to keep doing this at all times. All right, Ash guy, I got a bunch of news stories I want to talk about. You ready to hop into it?
Let's do it.
All right, let's start here with this UK passes bill, which could force Apple to allow Fortnite and Epic Games Store on iOS. And I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts is The Indicator, and they're from Planet Money and The Indicator, two of my favorite podcasts. And they had a story about this today, about not about this specific thing, but they finally like, hey, Epic Games suing Google and suing Apple and all this stuff. And they were talking about that. It is like one of those stories that I think a lot of mainstream reporters are like interested in because it's like such a big battle, but they never have like the insight of like, yeah, but Epic's kind of weird about it, and yet, yeah, if they do win this, it will have further ramifications that's good for everybody, but there's some nuance here. This is a moment where it's like, hey, at the end of the day, I think what we all kind of do want is more choices on our devices that we own, and it sounds like the UK is passing a bill which will enable just that. Now, this UK bill is very similar to a bill that already passed in the EU, which would not apply to the UK anymore. But basically what it means is you will be able to get Fortnite on iOS once again, and then Epic will basically be able to send you wherever it wants to make purchases. So you can click a button inside the game, and it can take you to, which is essentially just the Epic mobile store, but in a browser, and you can make your purchases through there, and that will link back into the game, and you're all good. Completely bypassing what happens in the Apple App Store. This seems like where everything's headed, and it's at the end of the day, Epic seems to be getting exactly what they wanted, and who's going to benefit from this is companies like Microsoft and even PlayStation, as they keep talking about having their own mobile platform. What do you think about all this?
So my understanding, though, is even though this allows the sideloading of apps in alternative app stores, there still is some kind of verification and fee that has to be paid by Apple, even for these third-party stores. It's something like, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's like over the first 1 million installs, there is like a per download fee annually. So Epic is still throwing a fit about that, saying it's not in the spirit of the law as it was passed, but it is by the letter of the law. So I wonder how the appeal structure around that could work.
They're going to continue to fight. They're going to keep fighting, right? These two companies are going to keep fighting it out for a long time.
I know when Delta came to the App Store in America, it's just on the App Store for free. In Europe, the Alt Store, which is from the same developer, which is like a popular third-party sideloading tool that works anywhere, but you need to set up some authentication on a local computer. It's a little tricky, but not too bad. But to have that true third-party Alt Store in Europe, he does charge like $2 for Delta, just as a nominal fee to cover that Apple fee, even though he is like an independent shop.
Right. So, and there's going to be a lot of like weird nuances to how all these things work in all these different territories. And it feels like we're in that like shakeout period of like, how is this actually going to work? What's it going to look like? And it could be different region to region. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to create kind of a logjam and a little bit of a mess for a little while. But these companies, there's still going to be a lot of money involved, so it'll be worth it for them to figure it out. And then once they get on the other side, if it's a little bit more open, I am okay with the idea of if I get a game through the App Store or through Google Play, and then once I'm in the app, if I click a button and it takes me to the store of one of these developers, and I can make purchases through there, I think I might be a little annoyed if it asks me to like put in a new credit card. I'm like, I already have that saved to the store. That this is a little bit frustrating to me. But they're like, well, you're going to save a lot of money because we're going to give that 30% savings to you, or a big chunk of that 30% savings that we're no longer giving to these companies. We're going to give you a chunk of that back. So we'll make it worth your while. All right. There's something to be said for that. That's great. And then overall, as long as the process is pretty simple, and I think they're at a place where it's like, hey, we might still accept like something like Google Pay or Apple Pay. And then it's like, well, then those companies get the little bit of the percentage of that, but they don't get the 30% cut. And that stuff is saved on your phone. So there's ways around this. I am pretty happy with the way things work right now on mobile. But I get why these companies are looking to change things up.
Yeah, and I don't think this doesn't mean like you could have an app on the App Store but use third-party payment processing. I believe if you're in the App Store, you still have to adhere to all of Apple's rules. This just means you can distribute your app, and then within that distribution, have whatever monetization platform you want. So
I thought it meant that like if you were in the App Store, like once the game was downloaded, you could redirect people. Like you had the right to then send people elsewhere. I thought that was the case. Is that not the case with the UK?
I don't think so. I could be mistaken. I don't think that's the case in Europe. It was really more about opening up the third-party app stores and sideloading. So. If you're outside the App Store, you can do whatever you want. You are still paying that nominal fee. But if you are in the App Store, you're still within the walled garden of Apple. You still have to kind of play by those rules because that is, the store is their property. So you have to kind of play by their rules there. And if you don't like it, then your option is, well, distribute your own thing, pay a smaller fee, and do it that way.
There's definitely regions where there are rules being in the works to be like, even if you are downloaded through the app stores, you have the right to direct people where you want through your own app.
I wouldn't be surprised if now that we've had that first step, if we get there. Like you said, what is going to be confusing and a little frustrating about this is how regional this is right now. Like, right now there are completely different rules for the App Store in Europe and now UK than America. And it's a weird disconnect where you see like a headline where you see, a more unscrupulous website would just say a headline like Fortnite back on iOS, and you're like, oh, and then you click it and it's like in the UK off this bill that goes into effect in a couple months, sideloaded. It's like, well, that's not, to me, Fortnite back on iOS means go into App Store, download Fortnite, play. So again, there's going to be a lot of confusion. I don't know how much this will affect like the average Fortnite player,
right?
If they're going to get confused,
or the average iOS user who is not going to be paying attention to a lot of this stuff. And if it's not in the App Store, you're right; it's basically still dead to them.
Now, it's interesting in a semi-related thing to this. So, I mentioned Delta, which is an emulator that's now available in the App Store. It plays a lot of Nintendo consoles. I think just about all of them, up to the N64. It has a ton of 1-star reviews from people complaining about stuff that you and I know, but like you wouldn't expect the average user, like 1-star review, there are no games, 1-star review, GameCube doesn't work, 1-star review, I can't get it to download box art. And it's like, that's on you, dude. Like, this is just the emulator.
Yeah, those are copyrighted materials, right? And of course people don't get that. But it's like, hey, that's the growing pains you're going to have to go through with a new audience that has kind of no familiarity with this stuff. Once they want, I mean, what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to get a crash course, and a lot of other emulators and emulation services will have to thank Delta for like breaking through that and teaching people this is how this works going forward. All right, let's get over to Neil Druckmann, who says Naughty Dog's new title, their next game, could redefine mainstream perceptions of gaming. What do you think he means by this?
I don't know.
You mean either.
I feel like this happens with PlayStation. Like, how many times have Sony developers told us that we were going to cry or shit our pants or something while we were playing their next game? And it's like, just don't do that. Put the game out and let it speak for itself. Don't go into this weird hype cycle already when like you have nothing to show. Like, just don't do it.
Yeah, and it's right. It feels like it's falling into that like pitfall that a lot of major developers fall into when they are like thinking about their next thing. It's like it's pie in the sky, and we're going to say some stuff, and now when the game comes out, we're going to have to live up to those expectations. And in his defense, he said it could do this. It could redefine mainstream perceptions of gaming.
Oh yes, yeah, I'm sure he was choosing his words very carefully.
Right, exactly. He's talking, and maybe it also could not do that. Like, these are all possible, but it's like, just taking him at what he's saying here, that his goal still is to win over a mainstream audience that is maybe not paying attention to games or only just started paying attention to games. And he mentioned this as well because of the Last of Us TV show. And so, I don't know. For me, still being at that point where that's who you're making games for, or that's a big part of like your thinking process, not necessarily that's not going to produce the kinds of games that I'm probably interested in playing personally. Mm-hmm. That's not to say it's not some noble goal. I just maybe think that it's if I was in his shoes, that would not be my strategy. That would not be what I was going after.
Right. Well, it's that old saying, you can please some of the people all the time, or all of the people some of the time. And thinking that you're going to somehow piggyback off the success of the Last of Us TV show and create all these new gamers who are going to play your AAA hardcore PS5 game. I don't know. I mean, my wife and I watch Fallout. I'm a Fallout fan. I enjoy the show. She doesn't play video games. She enjoyed the show. It's not like we finished the finale and she's like, oh, how do I play Fallout? Like, no, she doesn't care. Yeah. She just wants to watch season 2 when it comes out. I'm like, that's fine by her. Yep. And, I'm sure, we've seen with Fallout. I'm sure it happened with Last of Us. You get some people who go out and get the game. It's a lot of people. Yeah,
relatively speaking.
And, it's a lot, but it's not like, I don't think it's going to be like, segment defining in the way like a Wii was, in a weird way. Sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, good point. Right. It's like, I think even when we see these things really, really have a major effect, like Witcher came out, and then the Witcher sales for the video games were the best they had been since The Witcher 3 launched. And it's like, that's really impressive. Nothing close to, like, you're right, like what the Wii did with the Blue Ocean strategy. So it's like there's still a huge chasm between like really defining what the mainstream thinks of when they think of video gaming versus we have a popular TV show and now the games that share that IP are selling better. It is very different. And I don't think like carrying forward that momentum to their next game is going to change all that much either.
To a new IP at that. Like, there's going to be no practical connection to, again, if someone who's not a gamer would just watch Last of Us because it's on Max, and they're not going to be like, oh, a new video game on a console I don't own was released by the studio who made the game that inspired a TV show I watched. I'm going to invest $600+ so I can engage in that.
Magna Insomnia in chat saying like everyone always says gaming needs to grow, and we're gonna like that's the goal and we're complaining. I don't say that. I don't think I've ever said that.
And again, to be clear, I have no problem with growing a multimedia IP. Make your TV shows, make your movies, your books, your comic books to go with the games to supplement. That's how you find new audiences for these properties.
Yeah. If we're talking about like finding, if we're talking about just like find new audience, that's fine. Like I thought he meant like growing up, and if that's not what you mean, if you like grow and like appealing to new people so you could sell more video games. I don't think this is. I'm saying I don't think this is the strategy to accomplish that necessarily. Right. I think because it is going to be trying to appeal to an audience that is older and has a serious like decision that they've already made about what kind of entertainment they engage with, and trying to change their behaviors later just because they're like they're adults, so you want to appeal to them. That's a monumental task. It's something that even when you do it, we saw with the Wii, it doesn't necessarily last. It doesn't get them buying tons of video games. There is other ways that growth can happen. And if that's what we're talking about, then it is sure he could try it. It doesn't sound like this is exactly going to work. Now,
and my fear is that, make the game for gamers. Don't make the game for my wife, because she's not going to play it no matter what you do. Right.
Yes. And it's and there are probably new people who decide every day that they are into gaming. But they like want the cool new thing that does already appeal to gamers, I think. And if you want to make something that appeals to everybody, there are things out there. It's called the New York Times, app that everyone plays and plays connections on there. It's a massively popular thing. That's what they're happy with, and I don't blame them. I play that too. Neil also had some stuff to say about AI. We're seeing this exciting marriage of cutting edge technology with traditional storytelling that's pushing us into a future where enhanced fidelity isn't just about achieving realism, but about broadening the spectrum from highly stylized visuals to ultra realistic ones. And then he went on to say stuff like, AI is going to be like the future of storytelling. And this is where I'm also pretty hesitant. I'm like skeptical. I think that AI can have some place in the future of interactivity, but once you start talking about like we are going to use it to supplement storytelling, I don't want a story told to me by a robot. I barely care about when a human tells me a story most of the time, and it's like it has to be a really interesting story. If it's like a robot, it's like what experience have you shared with me that I would ever care about? So
and I think this gets into some of the gray areas about what is AI. Ultimately, people are generally talking about just algorithms, right? Think about Skyrim. Skyrim had the whole what's the word for
I know, what was that system called?
Bright or something.
Yeah.
Or, it's got a name like that.
Radiant Quests.
That would, like,
yes,
Radiant. Yes, yeah, it's close. And yeah, it would like generate quests, and you could get stories from those. Is that AI? Kinda, right? Is that what he means? Like, because I don't think he means like they're gonna go into ChatGPT and like give me a script for a video game, and it's gonna just gurgitate something, and they're gonna be like, great, let's do that. So I don't think that's what he means. But again, be careful with your words, because this is like a hot button issue that's more likely to piss people off than get people excited. Because the perception is like you're saying, you hear that and they hear a robot's going to start writing video games. They're going to fire all the writers, and this is what we're going to be left with, a bunch of drivel. Beyond that, the storytelling part, again, AI and like game tools and development technology, maybe that's the kind of thing like that opens up. For example, you play an open world game, and now every door can be opened because you don't have to build every room inside a building, and so some of them are arbitrarily locked. Like, you can build the main components, and you could build the pieces, and then it could fill everything in. Now, again, is that different from Diablo 2's randomized tile sets making random maps?
Not really.
Or is it just the evolution of that? But we call it AI. So again, it's almost like the word woke. Like, no one knows what it means. They just use it in like when they want to. When it's a
buzzword that can raise money right now, so they're going to keep using it for sure.
Exactly.
There's no world in which they don't use these kinds of algorithmic tools to make games, to make content, for sure. Yes. I think that some of these companies are going to fall into some of these problems where they do go in the direction of, well, we'll let the computer handle some of the storytelling for the player, and that will be, I think, disappointing in most cases. If it is like, here is a character, and they are choosing from a variety of stems that have been overseen by humans, but the way that they are responding to you is because they understand your natural language, and now they are building up this relationship with you, and you're going to tell your own story about this adventure you had with this character. I think that is something that I'm not just okay with. I welcome that. That sounds cool to me, personally.
Yeah, what I always thought would be a cool use of AI is, think of an RPG, get your voice actors, record all the dialogue, pay the actors like you normally would, but let an AI model train off their voice so that when I type in some bullshit fantasy name for my character, instead of them going, hero, how are you doing? They could actually say, hello, Sias, like, because we're friends in this game. Call me by my name. Like, that would be cool. You know, and again, Bethesda has the robot that has 500 names pre-recorded. They never record AJ. They have BJ, CJ, and DJ, but never AJ. So again, it's an evolution of what we're already doing, just using new tools. And that's, to me, ultimately what AI is. As we're starting to get kind of over the initial shock of what it is, I feel it's just another tool. You know, people thought content-aware fill was a thing in Photoshop, and that's the end of photography. It's not. It's just another tool in the belt.
Yep. Yeah, and that is like when I use Photoshop, that is what I realized as well. Like even as we moved away from content-aware fill to just actual generative fill, it's I have an idea, and it's just a shortcut to doing that idea. And that is a lot of what Druckmann says when he was talking about like what they're doing with it right now. He's like, oh, well, we're doing motion capture, and then we're using AI to basically shorten the time it takes to turn that into usable, like, raw materials to build a game. And so, yeah, sure. They're like, of course you're doing that. Yeah. If that was available to anyone, why wouldn't they use something that makes the process go faster, which makes it cheaper, so you can make the game bigger and faster? For sure. It's just this spectral like sword hanging over them of like, and when are you going to push it too far? And I think they just got to be mindful. But I mean, you see, like, there's ethical concerns. I think he brushed over that in a way that was like, wait, okay, yeah, what about them? But I think everyone's like, well, I'm not going to be the one that figures that out. That's not really my problem.
That's not our problem.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. So we'll see. Yeah. Okay. What do you want from a Naughty Dog game, Ash Guy?
Uncharted 5?
Yeah.
Like, is that well? Okay, I like their games. I like their technology. I like the way they look. I just don't like The Last of Us because I don't like the subject matter. It's dour and depressing and a bummer. I got halfway through Last of Us 1 before I fell off it. I've never played 2 in part because I didn't finish 1, but also I don't want to. It's the same reason I don't watch The Walking Dead. It's depressing. Yep. So I hope they go back to something that's a little more fun.
Yeah. Well, I agree. And it's like they have several options for that. Now, obviously, this new one's going to be a new IP. But I kind of like strike an adventurous tone, and I'll be happy. You have your dour game. You don't need 2 different dour games. That would be very like, I'm like, what are we doing here? Is this just that's your thing? That's what you could do. But I don't know. I really liked Uncharted 4 quite a bit. And I've not really like fallen in love with anything else from Naughty Dog. So I hope they're like, hey, this is a valuable path to take. I don't think we're going to get Jack and Daxter as much as that would be great.
No, yeah. I wonder if they will go like into something that's like fantasy or sci-fi, or if like everything they've done, post Uncharted has been like modern day realistic.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they're going to go beyond that even, or if they'll stay in that kind of milieu, but something twisted like zombies or whatever, but we'll see.
Yep. All right. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 showcase is happening on June 9th. Yes, the truth lies. This was the redacted direct that they already talked about earlier this year. Turns out it was Call of Duty all along. Who would have known? Big surprise.
I thought it was redacted. They put a black bar over it and everything.
Well, they've unredacted it, and they've told us that it's Call of Duty Black Ops 6. It is.
Can you unredact it or do you dact it?
Yes. Has it just been dacted? Yes. So it's redacted or dacted. Hey, they're making another Call of Duty, and they're making another Call of Duty Black Ops. I honestly, something about Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is getting me. It's like, man, not only have there been so many Call of Duties, there's been 6 Black Ops games, which always felt like, well, yeah, of course there's 3 Modern Warfare games, but there's not that many Black Ops. And now suddenly we're at 6. It is very funny when you do realize it is like Call of Duty 24 or whatever. That's
what was Black Ops 5? Was that
Cold War? Cold War.
Yes. I was gonna say. So, a fun fact. I've never played a Black Ops.
There are some good Black Ops games. For some people, they're like they're their favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just that funny thing where like I was playing all the Modern Warfares and then was kind of getting burnt out. And then when it became apparent there were going to be annual releases, and like at the beginning, Black Ops kind of had that stink of like, oh, this is the B team. So like, I'm going to skip these, and maybe if I hear good things, or if I have time, I'll get to it. I just kind of never did. So I don't think I've even touched a Black Ops game. I might have played some multiplayer 4 during like a free weekend or something, because that was one that was only multiplayer, right?
That was Black Ops 4. That was only multiplayer.
I think.
No, maybe it was Cold War. I can't remember now. Yes.
Whichever one was multiplayer only. I think I played it for a free weekend or something, and that's it.
Yeah. And people are like, yes, I know there's 6 Modern Warfare games. I'm saying back when there was only 3 Modern Warfare games, I was like, well, yeah, we already got the 3 of those. We've wrapped back around.
At least
they
had the sense to start over. Like the fact that they are back, and they kind of Mario Karted it, right?
Yeah.
The last one was Cold War, but now we're back to 6.
Back to numbers, yes. Okay. Either way, something about this, the marketing's really dumb. They did a teaser trailer where people go to the truthlies.com and there's a found footage film where like the people recording it are like breaking into some federal property and their faces are blurred out. So it feels like it's footage found by the government and someone broke that footage out of the government facility. And then as these people get through this property that they broke it onto, that you see that they are actually at the Mount Rushmore site, and the Mount Rushmore monument has had its eyes covered by big banners that say "The Truth Lies," and then what it looks like a Black Ops icon. It's a hell of a thing. It's a hell of a thing. It's dumb in all the right ways, and I'm kind of getting excited about it. I mean, how as excited as I can get about a Call of Duty.
Call of Duty's at its best when it realizes it's a dumb summer action movie, and if they lean into that, all the more power to them. That's the way it should be. Right.
So this is a series that started around like Cold War stuff originally, right? And then there was stuff that had involved Vietnam, I believe, and then got obviously more went back to Cold War. It seems like this one's going to be more modern era. I don't know if this is real. Is this going to be, are they actually going to have a 9/11 in this game? I think someone said.
Oh God, really?
Yeah, I'm going to
don't get me excited like that.
Call of Duty.
Is that what Microsoft 6 wants to really get into now?
Yeah, I'm gonna okay. Yeah, let's see here. Call of Duty.
Really, Phil? That's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it takes place. Yeah, it takes place in the 90s, so maybe it like ends like with like a reference to that. The rumors were Gulf War. Okay.
Yeah, you like start like at the end, you like discover the Taliban or something.
Well, I mean, Call of Duty like it often tries to do the very shocking thing. So even if this is not the plan or isn't known, I don't think it's completely off the table. Although it'd be very weird. I think.
Yeah, it is still too soon for that.
Yeah, for a video game that like. Yeah, it would just be you're never going to be able to pull this off. But it would be shocking, I think. But yeah, Gulf War sounds about right. And I'm actually like. It's been just enough time since then to be like, oh yeah, we could do something with the Gulf War. That's fine. I'd be kind of interested to see what that looks like. But I don't know. Where are you at overall with a Black Ops 6 and a Call of Duty?
I mean, look, if it gets good buzz and looks good, it's been a minute since I've actually truly played a Call of Duty game. I didn't touch really any of the Modern Warfare remasters at all.
Yeah,
I think the last one I really truly played was Infinite Warfare, which I'm one of the weirdos who liked it because I liked all the sci-fi stuff. So I don't know, maybe it's time. I don't really have a shooter I'm playing right now, so I mean, this could get me to fire it up.
Yeah, and it's like, if it's going to be in Game Pass, right? Like, why not?
Exactly. Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
a little bit more. I know you brought before, but where are you landing? Because it sounds like the rumors shifting toward it is going to be part of Game Pass. What's your feeling there?
Yeah, I think it's going to be part of Game Pass, and I think it's the right move. I think. It's the kind of game where if this is one of the good Call of Duties and it's right there in Game Pass on day one, it is the thing that can maybe move the needle for them a little bit in a way that's like, I think it's hard to gauge early on and before the game comes out and before they know if this is one that people really care about. But like, as it stands right now, when I like do a poll on Game Mess mornings, it's like, some people are like, I might get Game Pass for this. And like 5% are like saying that. And then the rest are like, I don't care, or I already have Game Pass. But I think that's the audience that is already very engaged in gaming. And I think once the game is out there and is building this buzz of, this is the one I want all my friends to be playing with me, and I just upgraded to a system, but it's crossplay. If you want to just get it and get Game Pass, you could just have the game and a bunch of other games to kind of make it worth it. I think it's an easier sell for a lot of people than it was in the past of like, hey, if you get on Xbox, you can get Game Pass and you get all these other games, and that makes you upgrading to a new system worth it. And I could tell that story to my friends, but that is, that only works if this one isn't on the older systems. I think if it's on the older systems, people will just play it where they already have it.
Yeah, and we don't know that yet because they've still been cross-gen.
Every single one's been cross-gen.
So,
yes.
I wonder, do they finally cut that cord here?
I think this is the one to do it with. If for one, so too. I think this is about the amount of time that they were on both consoles last time. But it was like on Xbox 360 up until about this point.
5 years,
right?
Because Advanced Warfare, it was Infinite. I think Infinite Warfare was the previous gen as well, right?
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, that sounds right, but I don't remember. So yeah, I think like if you do that and you could time everything up, having it on Game Pass, not on the old systems, giving people a reason to buy an Xbox for this, yeah, it could work.
Yeah, I mean, and again, they have the benefit of get the Xbox Series X, play it 4K, blah, blah, blah. Or, hey, if you just want to play Call of Duty with your friends, you don't worry about it. We got this Series S. We'll do a bundle pack where you get 6 months of Game Pass. Off you go.
Yep.
They have that weird benefit. PlayStation just has the 500 or 450 box, and that's that. And then, PC Game Pass could get a bump. Ultimately, I think the game being on Game Pass would help a little, but not being on Game Pass, I think would do irreparable harm to the Game Pass.
I agree with that. Yes, I agree. And maybe that's
if we're not going to get their biggest game, what's the point?
Right. And maybe, maybe there is no point anymore. I don't know. Maybe they've decided that Game Pass isn't worth pursuing the way that they once were. That's entirely possible at this point. But if they don't put Call of Duty on there, they are screaming that there is no real point to Game Pass anymore. And maybe they're not ready to do that quite yet. Could still happen in the future. But I think for this one, put it on Game Pass, see where the chips fall, and then you can make a decision about the future of all these things, down the line. Especially if they really are going to have a new Xbox console in 2026, they can reconfigure a lot of things in a couple of years. So it's like, if you just kind of keep the status quo a little bit, maybe see if this patches things over and makes things make more sense to a lot of people. And if it doesn't, well, just kind of keep playing your cards out the way you have been. And then once the new console is here, you can use that as an opportunity to reset everything, including expectations of what happens with Call of Duty and Game Pass. All right. Last thing here, Valve MOBA shooter Deadlock, which was formerly known as Neon Prime, has leaked all over the place. It is apparently a 6v6 four land. What does that mean?
4-lane.
4-lane. Thank
That's
you.
A typo.
4-lane third-person MOBA. Is this what you want from Valve, Ash Guy?
No, not at all. I want Half-Life 3. I mean, we all do. This could be fun.
Oh, sure, yeah.
My problem is, as soon as a shooter gets defined as a MOBA shooter, that immediately changes my perception of how it's going to play. It's going to be a lot slower. The hits are going to be less impactful. It's going to change the co-op dynamic of the team, like how you have to split lanes and all that stuff. It's not going to be Overwatch, where there's an objective and we're all pushing towards it. Even watching the leaked gameplay, it looks like Monday Night Combat in a weird way. The way things move and the way the strafing looks and just goofy things like that. It has a different look and feel that's very separate from like an arena shooter or even something like Overwatch. It's also funny to me, like I was kind of watching like the one clip where it showed like the guy going through the character select screen, and there's like the sniper who's a chick with long hair and blue skin. I'm like, did you really have to just make Widowmaker? Can't you come up with something different?
Right, and that's what happens. That makes it feel more like a MOBA than anything else, where it's like, well, because it's a MOBA, you have to have the characters that people recognize, even if it's like pulling from a game that isn't a MOBA, like Overwatch. I know there's something so MOBA about just like, we gotta have all these characters. Exactly, yes. It's weird, and I don't know, it feels low rent somehow. Just kind of bargain bin in some ways. But I don't think that necessarily bothers the people who go after this genre. And I bet the game does just fine. If it's fun to play, a lot of people will end up playing it.
Sure. I mean, ultimately, a good game is a good game. I feel like we're past the like new MOBA phase. For what was the one Epic had for a while there that got shut down? That was a third person.
Oh, Paragon?
MOBA. Paragon. That was a good game. It was fun,
people like
but
Paragon,
it didn't have enough growth for them to support it. That shut down. Now, Smite, they are doing a Smite 2 that I think is in closed beta right now.
Sure.
But that like is like an existing audience. They're just hoping everyone jumps over. I mean, again, it could be good. It could find an audience, but I feel like if you want to play a MOBA, you're playing either Dota 2 or League of Legends, and like, do you really need something else?
Yeah, this is the game from Ice Frog, who is designer of Defense of the Agents and then Dota 2. Been at Valve for a long time, and now this is their new game. So I think a lot of eyes from that scene are on it because of that. And it'll be worth paying attention to, I think, because of that alone. And also, a new game from Valve doesn't happen that frequently. Sure, the last one.
No, it's like that's noteworthy, yeah.
Right. The last one was Artifact. But exactly.
Forgot about that.
Right. And everyone does memory hole that game. So it's like, okay, they probably do have that in the back of their minds. I wonder how that has informed how they're going to present this game, but we'll have to see.
The biggest question mark anytime there's a new MOBA is what's the monetization going to be? Are you going to have to pay for heroes? Is it going to be a free rotation? Will they just all be unlocked?
No, people are saying Counter-Strike 2. Yes, I guess there's an update. Come on.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
I really feel like it doesn't count.
Yeah,
but the last one before that was the auto chess one that I don't remember.
Did auto chess come out after Artifact? Really?
Artifact.
I guess it did.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a genre that was a flash. I mean, I know people still play it, but no one talks about it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was the right idea to make one of those games in that moment, though. It was the kind of thing that you can imagine doing very well on Steam with the trading and the cards and all that stuff. But yeah. Okay. A couple other things to wrap up in the news here. They showed off the green color for Persona 6, or is that a leak, Christian? I don't know. Mike was yelling at me about it. I wasn't really paying attention.
That was a leak.
Okay.
That was a leak from Midori.
It's the leak of Persona 6 and the green placeholder icon, and he said it was good, and I think it's green, and that's my opinion of it.
I don't like that shade of green. I like a chiller green. You know what I mean? That green is too.
It's aggressive.
It looks kind of radioactive a little bit. You know what I mean?
Sure, I get what you mean. Yeah, it's not like a strong forest green. It is more neon than that.
Yes.
Hey, you know what else we associate with green? The Xbox. So this is at the showcase confirmed, right?
And a lot of people are saying that, but there's a world where that also does just happen because Xbox has been building that relationship with Sega and Atlas. So it's not out of the question that it would show up at an Xbox thing first. That game is multi-platform when it launches, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Also, people are saying like, oh, it's ugly. Well, it's a placeholder, and
yeah,
they're gonna change it for sure.
Yeah.
Although this placeholder is way more stylized than the previous placeholders logos for the games. The old placeholder were just like Persona 5 and it didn't even have like a recognizable font. This has like a stylized thing. So I don't know. That's kind of scary a little bit.
Christian, I bet if this is the green, once you see it in context, it'll probably be just fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah, you won't even be thinking about the way it looks right now, isolated the way it is. And then finally, I just want to draw attention. There was a Twitter thread earlier this evening from Jacob Novak, who is the CEO of Genvid. He previously was director of business at Square Enix. And he did a thread basically about like, hey, here's what happens over at Square Enix, and made a couple of points that were worth, I think, repeating. But the big one I want to talk about is he says, if a game costs $100 to make, it takes 5 years, then you have to beat, as an example, what the business could have returned investing $100 million into the stock market over that period. And this is, of course, what people always talk about when they talk about Square Enix is a game, or are the expectations too high over at Square Enix? And Novak here is basically saying, no, they're just setting it based on what they need to set it on to get a return on the investments they're making. For the 5 years prior to February 2024, the stock market averaged a return rate of 14.5%. Investing that $100 million in the stock market would net you a return of $201 million. So this is our return on investment baseline. Can the game net a return higher than that after marketing, platform fees, and discounts are factored in? This is actually a very hard equation, though it seems simple. That $70 that consumers pay only returns $49 after 30% platform fees, and the platforms will generally get a recoup on any funds spent on exclusivity, meaning until they are paid back, they will keep that cash, plus discounts start almost immediately. Assume marketing expenses are $50 million, and assume that you're not going to get that $49, but rather the average closer to being $40 after discounts, returns, and other aspects. Now let's say that in the first month you sold 3 million copies with $40 net. You need to, let's see here, you need to surpass $254 million to make expectations. And it's like, yeah, that's a pretty big number for a game that is exclusive to PS5. And while we hear Square Enix say for years, for every game, this game missed expectations. This one missed expectations. At a certain point, it feels like, yeah, maybe they set their expectations too high because their budgets are too high, sure. But I think it's also, the reality is these games aren't selling the way they need to make this entire business make sense. This, Novak goes on to say, it makes even less sense now than it did when these games were greenlighted in like 2015, 2016, because of things like Fortnite and Apex Legends and so many things like taking all the oxygen out of the room. And a good example of this is like Final Fantasy 14, a game that has made sense in this new world, whereas these older Final Fantasy games, or these games that are in the style of older Final Fantasy games, no longer make a lot of sense. How are you reading like the future of how these companies are going to approach making games like that? Do you think the reality is just like reduce the budgets, get more creative? Like, what do they do here?
I don't know, because it's like, I hear that and I'm like, if your baseline is we need to beat the stock market, you don't want to make video games, so don't.
Yeah.
Be a stock firm. Like, yeah. I don't, like, at some point you have to say, like, that's not what we're doing. We're making video games. We just want to make money doing that, and it has to be enough. I know that's idealistic of me, to think the world should work that way.
Right.
Call me crazy. You know, it's a shitty baseline because you could, again, we've seen this with Xbox. We're talking about it. You could be as successful as can be, but you didn't beat the stock market now, and so you're deemed a failure because the money spent on you could have made more.
It's opportunity cost, yeah.
Right. It's a ridiculous notion that again goes into my whole feelings of capitalism and how it's designed to just eat dreams and spit out shit.
Well, I think that's what the reality is here, is that these corporations are not built to make the games that we want anymore, because this is how they all view it.
It goes beyond games. It's any consumer product at this point, really. And it does make me wonder: is it all going to hit ahead? You know, it was not kind of related, but it was in the news this week how Target and Aldi are reducing prices, and McDonald's is going to have like extra value meals because everything got too expensive, and finally consumers have pushed back enough. And like, well, like,
they just stopped showing up.
Why would I spend $11 for a meal at McDonald's? I could go to like a sit down restaurant, get a meal for 12. Like the value proposition is not there. You know, as far as it goes for gaming, like what has to happen for these publishers to figure out a different way to measure success? That's going to make sense for them.
They can't. They're legally obligated to make money for their investors, and their investors expect a bigger return than they get from the general stock market. They don't buy index funds. They buy shares in Square Enix, and they do that because Square Enix promises them they will get returns that are better than the stock market. That is the entire purpose of Square Enix existing as a company, as its like legal relationship to its investors. So there is no changing this. That is the scary thing here. Is that like what we have to do is occasionally trick these companies into thinking that making games is a really good idea. Like, I feel like that's what happened during the pandemic. It happened a few times in the past, and a couple of the companies realize that is their best business. It is their best bet, and that's like Nintendo and a handful of others. But for most of these corporations, they default to making games is a scary proposition because we can make more money if we just put money into the stock market. So what are we doing?
I mean, I think a prime example of that, excuse the pun, is Amazon.
Yeah.
You know, they had all these pipe dreams that we're going to make all these games. We spun up all these studios, and they just ran from all of it. They put out like the couple of MMOs that are doing okay and bring in some revenue now, but they're never going to make The Last of Us. Why would they? There's no money to be made there.
Yep. Yeah, and that's like the legal obligation existing only in the United States, as someone in chat points out. That like has a global effect though, because these companies compete with the companies in the United States for investment dollars, and so they have to obey by the same general rules, even if they aren't exactly legally obligated to do so. This is not, none of that is to excuse this. I think that, yeah, this system is broken, and it's kind of done for in a lot of ways, at least in the moment. I think we will one day be able to trick some of these companies again in the future into thinking gaming is a good idea. But in the meantime, it is going to come back to like, okay, who really does think that making games is a worthwhile time investment? And when they get money on the other end, it's like a sweet little bonus. And that's, of course, passionate, smaller indie developers who are doing that over and over again and have been for decades now. And that's why I keep turning my attention over in that direction. Trying to like fix Square Enix is maybe a worthless and like something that won't be worth the time, because if you do fix them, it'll be temporary and they'll just come back to this default position again in the future.
and it sucks because again, as longtime gamers, like there's affinity for that company and that brand. Like to what you're basically saying, Jeff, is Final Fantasy is going to go away someday. Like I don't want that to happen. Right. I love Final Fantasy. And the compounded thought of Final Fantasy is going to go away because of capitalism. Fuck that. Like, no, give me the games I like.
Yep.
I don't care about investors. I've never cared. Oh no, not the investors. Someone please think of the investors. Believe me, no one has ever said that. Even other investors don't say that.
No one likes absolutely investors. Not. You're right.
No one likes investors. Lawyers spit at investors, okay? Even though they're probably investors themselves. That's where we are. Imagine a world without investors. La 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 la.
It's beautiful.
La, 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 la.
Well, it's just spitting.
Yes, I love it. This thread is worth reading. It does explain kind of the poison at the heart of these companies, if I get that we keep saying, hey, quit setting expectations so high, and these games will meet those expectations. They are incapable of that. So,
they don't set the expectation. From what this is saying, the expectation is set by Wall Street.
Yeah, well, it's set by the expectation is set by. You're right. The profit margin is set by that, right? But and then the budget is like the main factor in that. So it's like, if you have a $200 million budget, it's got to make this much money in the first month to make the whole thing make sense. And that formula is then dictated by the return on investment from the general stock market, like an index fund.
And again, maybe as things like AI do what we need them to do and tools advance and this does become easier, maybe that's what fixes this. Maybe that is like something that could work in smaller budgets.
Yeah, but we know how that goes, right? It always goes that like we just the keeping up with the Joneses ramps right back up, and they find new ways to spend a ton of money to keep everyone else out. And this, goes back to that letter that Phil Spencer wrote about a year ago or whatever, where like this was part of the FTC leak or something like that, where he's like, hey, these companies used to be able to have this walled garden called the retail store where only they could sell games. And so they had an inherent advantage. And now they are in a market where anyone can release a game. And these companies are looking around and like, well, hey, do we have any advantage anymore? Like, does anyone care that they have a Ubisoft game? It's like, actually, in most cases, people are turned off because it's a Ubisoft game. So they're working uphill. And with that, like, battle that they're in of like, oh, hey, how do we make these games stand out? They have no other option but to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on their game because that's the only differentiating factor. And that puts them right back in the situation where it's like, and now we have these sky high expectations because we have to make that money back to make all of this make sense. And it feels, as we've said now for a decade on this show, for the show we've been doing for a long time now, since the beginning of the show, it's unsustainable. And here we are. All right. Let's move on from the news. Take a quick break. When we get back, we'll read the super chats. We'll do that right after this.
Break.
Woo-wee.
Woo-wee indeed. All right. AJ, you good to get right back into it?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do it.
Let's go.
All right, we are back. We got a bunch of super chats. I'm going to have Ash Guy read those right now.
Okay. Josh Page kicks it off very generously by just asking us, green? Yes.
Thank you so much, Josh Page. That was a $50 super chat. That's unnecessary, but thank you so much. And I'll say, yes, it is green.
Phantom 23 with their 5th super chat live says, just wanted to wish everyone at Game Mess a happy 350 episodes, and here's a 350 more. Wow, I didn't realize that.
Didn't realize that either. Holy crap.
350.
Yes, wow.
That's a lot.
That's a whole bunch. Man,
are you guys caught up to Exploding
Barrel? No way. You guys had to be
in the 500s.
At least I thought, yeah.
Let's see, January 2021.
I'm curious.
567.
There
so
it is.
You're on your way. You're
on our way. You know what? Tell you what, when we started the show, never thought we would get to 350. No way. That's wild.
Me neither.
Yeah, for real, right? Like, it was like a thing we were just doing like on the side that no one knew about at GameSpeed. All right.
All right. Willow Davis says, I'm amused by COD trying to seem mysterious and deep while essentially being the Lunchables of the gaming world.
Yeah, it's definitely amusing, and that makes it kind of all the better, in my opinion. Yeah, it's Lunchables, it's like everywhere, yes.
It all goes back to we had I Heart Bees with Halo 2, and everyone tries to do I Heart Bees, and it'll never be I Heart Bees.
No, and when it kind of is
saying they went that far, but
and when it kind of just like falls flat, part of that makes it work even better for me, though.
I mean, the fact that like it was just like a tweet, like, yeah, it's Black Ops 6, like they couldn't even take it all the way.
Nope.
Like, I don't know. L. Grug says, why does AJ's beard look so nice, while Mike's beard in his recent Twitter selfies remind me of the crazy homeless guy on every college campus? Well, I just trimmed this morning. I did have a funeral to go to today, so I cleaned up. But
it's nice.
Let me tell you about Manscaped.
Hey, I think Mike's beard looks pretty good, but Ash guy's looking very, very dapper.
Thank you. Yes, I use the 8th setting. Jez Corden says, is the PlayStation Showcase coming now?
Let me check.
Is it coming now?
It's not
coming now.
Not coming now. Not coming now. Coming now.
Coming now.
Ask me again in like 5 days. How about that?
We have a new soundboard, everybody. Thank you, AJ.
What? Oh no!
Got his ass.
Dick.
Oh, Mary.
T Bucket 23 says, I know TTYD,
The 1,000-Year Door.
Thank you. I was like, I know that one. I know 1,000-Year Door is getting all the attention today, but are any of you going to check out the newly released game, Duck Detective: The Secret Salami?
I am going to check that out. That looks very good.
I heard of this?
I don't know, but I love that subtitle, The Secret Salami. And the thing I remember about this game the most is I was like, hey, that's a great like subtitle. Salami's a funny word, and Mike just being like, no, it's not. It's not a funny word. There was like some other game that had a different word, and he's like, this is better. I think we ran a poll, and everyone's like, no, salami is way funnier. And finally, once again, proved him wrong.
I need to play this because I'm looking at the screenshot and it's like the duck and like the trench coat and the hat, like a private eye,
and it looks like
I was a freshly divorced duck, not able to pay next month's rent.
And the duck is like not that anthropomorphized, right? It's just like
no, he's
very
cute.
Duck. Yes,
he's very cute.
Yes, I like.
Well, this is great because my daughter Olivia loves ducks and my daughter Sophia loves salami. They might be into this.
All right, hey, good deal.
I need to play this. That's incredible.
Yeah, I'm getting it.
Then Jez just sent an empty super chat.
No, it's a peach. Yeah, a peach emoji. Okay. Well,
yeah.
Everyone knows what that means. Make sure you go to Jez's Twitter account right now.
He likes peaches.
Ask him about peaches and what that's a secret code word for. I can't say, it's only him, so go bother him about it.
Then he says, again, my question is, what is your Fallout 76 build? I went into this game and I back when I started it, when it first came out, I was like, let me try something different than what I usually do. And 10 minutes later, I was a stealthy sniper.
Yeah.
Again.
That's just nature taking its course.
It really is.
Yeah. What did I do? I got, I think I did a melee build and was just whacking people. Not like that. Everybody.
I need to try a Fallout melee build. I've never done it.
It was fun. It was good. I got like a baseball bat and like a board with some nails in it. It was a good time.
I know like Fallout 4 has like a perk where VATS like lets you just teleport to your targets. That'd be fun.
Yes, right. Yes, and like it does that like you're teleporting from like a small distance early on, and even that feels cool. And then later on, yes, you could just straight up teleport with your melee, and it's great. Yes.
All right, Ali Miracle says, welcome to the sanest time of year for games in our very sane year of 2024.
Yeah, the kids are out there losing their mind. They're down bad, Ali. You can tell they're down bad. They are so worried that this PlayStation thing is not going to happen, and they're freaking out. And I'm like, listen, I get it to a certain extent, but I only ever said May, and it's not over. Why are you behaving this way? And
as far as I check, May goes until the end of May, which is the 31st of May. So
it does do that. Yeah, it's one of those weird
more
quirks.
Than a week.
Yes, exactly. You got time.
Alrighty. Hey, you Peekaboo says, happy Thursday, folks. I got a 3-parter. 1, does AJ play the flute? No, I play tuba. I dabbled in saxophone, and I play a little piano. 2, what is your favorite Lunchable? Oh, the pizza. Definitely. I love Lunchables pizza.
Yeah, me too. Hardcore. I still like that.
3, what are you drinking? Right now, I have a Dortmunder Gold from Great Lakes in my brewmate koozie, and this is just one of the all-time great beers. It's delicious.
That's the good stuff right there. I was drinking Sherva Mate up until about 10 minutes ago.
Ooh, very nice.
That's right. Argentina #1.
Crouching Boomer Hidden Zoomer says 90s Disney episode on live music in Epcot when. That is very funny you say that, because I actually had an idea for our next bonus episode to rank theme park music.
Ooh.
I think that I haven't even told Mike and Chris that yet, so surprise. But I think that's going to be our next bonus. I'm going to pitch it after we do our episode that Mike is preparing on miniature golf at Walt Disney World for
that's fun.
our
Okay.
6-year anniversary. Yeah.
I need to listen to that last half episode. It sounded like a good time.
The shops. Yeah,
yes,
fun.
Exactly. Seemed like a good time.
All right, the Marvelous Breadfish, which with a great avatar, which is just a fish and bread. If Jeff doesn't take AJ up on his offer for grilling lessons, I will lose all respect for him.
Fair.
I would give anything for the best Melody to lead me to barbecue nirvana. Oh, pshaw.
I definitely am going to take him up on that. Listen,
that'll be a fun hang.
Usually, what that means is they're doing most of the work. So if he's gonna teach me, yes, I'll have that.
Kieran Smith says, AJ, who would you rather have as a brother, Quan Chi or RoboCop? I mean, you can trust the Sorcerer sometimes.
Yeah.
But RoboCop, I think you could trust all the time.
Right. RoboCop doesn't have the glitches like ED 101 or whatever it was. So you don't have to worry about RoboCop like turning on you, I don't think.
No, RoboCop's very reliable.
Right.
The human brain is in there, so there's still the humanity.
Right. Quan Chi, we don't even know if he's human at all. So
no, that could be anything. So yeah, we'll go with RoboCop. You just got to deal with the foot dust.
Right. Exactly.
Visualizer says, have you guys ever considered opening a P.O. box for some mailbag shenanigans? Would love to send you all some beers from local breweries around town.
Yeah, we have an office address that you could send stuff to. Is that in the Discord welcome, Christian?
Let me check.
I think it is. So if you're in the Discord and you go to the welcome thing there, yeah, you should.
Let me see.
If not, it will be soon.
We do have that
so
address. You have to scroll all the way up.
Address is in there. I mean, it's my office address. So it's just 815 Superior Avenue East, Cleveland, Ohio 44114, I believe. And then
yes.
Suite 1618. Suite 1618. That's very important.
Suite 16.
Yeah,
all
1618.
Right, and that
yes.
was Visualizer's 10th super on live. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Visualizer.
Zoomer says, Neil living up to the name DRUCKMANN.
yeah.
Now, guys, let me tell you about this AI.
Yeah.
it's gonna blow your mind. It's gonna make the games, and I'm gonna make the greatest TV show from it.
Your mom is gonna like my games so much.
I mean,
your grandma's.
People's wives, they're gonna be like, "Are you playing the game? Watch the show." I can't tell. They look so good because the AI. I'm
thinking about these grandmas playing my video games. It's just really getting me going, brothers.
All right. Dibbity Dab says the best thing ever was when Black Ops 4 used the wrong Roman numerals. 4 I's instead of IV.
Oh, that
they
was
better
a great
call
move.
the 6th one Black Ops I. No, what they should do, and what they actually, wouldn't be surprised they did, is do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/6. And that's how they number it.
That's very good. I love the Black Ops 4 with the 4 eyes. That is true. That was such a funny thing.
That is good. Finland Mandrew says they should make a duty game with wall running and giant robots, but that's just me.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it'd be great. Like these great titans could fall from the sky.
Huh.
Yeah, and then they could do another one that's even better.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
That'd be interesting. You know, have these characters you play as that maybe pilot these titans. Interesting.
Oh yeah. With jetpacks, it'll be amazing.
Right, they need that to get into the titans. Makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. See, it writes itself. The AI could figure it all out. Napper says that Persona 6 green is beautiful.
I'm glad you like it.
I'm going to infer that that's how he wanted me to read beautiful.
I believe you're right.
Yeah. Marcus with their first super chat says, just want to give you guys a shout out as a fellow Ohioan, father of 2 girls, and dude whose best friends are his brothers. Oh, it's me.
That's sweet.
Just without a son going on. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. That was great.
Glitch writes, listening to the Sony investor call about PlayStation performance, they didn't sound doom and gloom about their console business. I mean, in part they can't. You don't want to tell the investors, oh guys, I got bad news.
Yeah.
I mean, cut and run while you can if you get my message.
Right. They're gonna say they have the answers. Right. That's what they're gonna do there. But,
absolutely.
And they it's not doom and gloom, but what they do say is, the PlayStation 5 is not going to sell more next year than it does this year. And that is them telling investors the growth is not going to come from where we thought it was going to come from. It's going to come from over here. And that is charging more for things they already sell you, selling you things again, and finding new ways to monetize the people they already have. And then maybe do some other things that are like our big Hail Mary plays. And to me, that's like
on PC.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's like not doom and gloom, but it is them saying that they don't have the answer for growth in this moment.
Right. And lastly, the Uncharted Wolf writes, what does AJ think of Elden Ring? Jeff can talk too. I like Elden Ring. Elden Ring is one of those games, I've put a lot of time into Elden Ring, but I didn't finish it.
Sure.
Because I was just doing so much other stuff, and I just kind of fell off before I ever beat it.
Right.
Great.
Yep. There it is. We got it, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
That's the accidental one.
Yep.
I found a deal where I was able to get the base game and the DLC for like $35 or $40 on PC. So I jumped on that. I started another playthrough because I was like, well, now I want to play it on my Steam Deck. So I've been slowly chipping away at that. I don't think I'll be ready to go into the DLC day one because it sounds like you need like, am I right? Like you need like a kind of high level character to start the DLC.
I think there's like a couple of pretty difficult bosses you need to have beaten, I think. And then if you have that, I think you're good. I don't know if it's like super high level, but yeah, I guess that means relatively high level. Yes.
Right. Like I was following a kind of like cheese guide of like a path to take to level up pretty quickly. And the one kind of hard stop on it was the first, what's the big puffy fat dude who rolls at you? It was one of those.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And the way to defeat it early was to use sleep potions. But I had like a very particular amount at this point because I've been following this guy, and because it's been a few months since I played the games, I kept fucking up the controls and I wasted all my sleep potions, and now I'm kind of stuck. So I'll figure something out.
Yep.
But I like it. I never got into the Souls games. Again, it goes back to my thing where I don't like replaying things, and when you die and everything resets, that's kind of frustrating. But this one worked because of the open world. You know, if you got stuck on something, well, I'll go this way and see what I find over here instead. So I like that component of it. I'm very interested to try the multiplayer mod because that would just be fun. Right.
Oh yeah, it rules. It really is a good time. People are saying you have to have beaten Moog, the Lord of Blood, and I Googled him and I remember this guy. Yeah, I beat this dude. In my memory, this is like a very late game boss.
Yeah, that is late. I think I didn't beat him. I think I was close to it. Is Moog the wolf looking thing?
I think Moog's the like devil looking guy with like the trident, and he's got the octopus head, kind of like a tentacle head. I'm looking at here. Demon with the wings guy. Yes, and he's in like the pillars area. Like
is he
up on high, kind of like on a mountain?
Is he in the Golden City?
I think he might be after the Golden City.
Okay.
Yeah. Either way, I
was in the Golden City. I did all the Ronnie stuff, and then I was in the Golden City, and that's kind of where I stopped.
Okay. Yeah. What I remember this being like, oh, I did this, and that meant I was like almost about to beat the game. Is how I remember it. So, yeah, pretty late stuff. I'm a big fan of Elden Ring, and I'm really glad we're playing the multiplayer. It's giving me a reason to keep playing it, and that is making me want to play it on my own again very much. 150 hours on the Steam Deck and don't regret a single second of it. All right, let's wrap that up. Let's take another quick break. We're going to get set up. When we come back, we're going to do a Mount Rushmore of PlayStation 1 games. We'll get to that right after this.
It's good. It's good stuff.
It's good. All right. Just give me a second to get that going.
It's good.
It's good. It's the good stuff. All right. Close you.
Yeah, people saying that boss is pretty far in.
Yeah, that's how I remember it.
Mm-hmm. So, getting your shit together. Play Elden Ring DLC, then a week later, Final Fantasy 14, Dawn Trail, Big Witchy. Some other games.
Really interesting because I got like two super obvious ones. One that like could go to one of two things, and the fourth one could be up for debate. But we'll see how this goes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, freeze.
Dawn Trail, baby.
Oh, I can't wait.
Oh,
Dawn Trail Early Access comes out on the 28th of June. did that affect when I scheduled a certain surgery that people in their 40s with 3 kids sometimes get? Maybe.
Well, maybe. I heard that it's like in and out, right?
Yeah, but you're laid up for like 2 to 3 days.
You are. Okay.
I scheduled mine on the 26th, so sorry, kids. Dad needs to sit in this chair and not move, and that chair is in front of his computer.
Oh, I get. You're saying you deliberately scheduled it during that time so you would have a reason to sit around and play games.
But then, like, when they were like, we could do the 26th, and I was like, looking at my calendar, and I was like, yeah, I'm free that day. But then I looked again, I was like, yeah, that's good. Good.
Good luck to your balls.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay, let's do this. Wait, where am I at? Is that gonna be?
Do you wanna set up also the thread? You wanna see the thread on there too?
Yeah, I'll get that. That'll just be a second. Yes.
Copy link.
Let's do this.
Podcast stuff.
Okay. Yes. All right. There is that. So do Mount Rushmore. Games.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. There it is. I'm gonna bring us back in.
All right, let's do it.
And we're back. And it's time to do another Mount Rushmore. We talked about what we should do here, settle on PS1 games. I'm excited about that. I love the PS1 right now, in a big PS1 mood. We talk about that a lot on this show. Ash Guy, what's your feelings towards the PlayStation 1?
I enjoy the PS1 very much back in the day. It was just a fun leap in gaming that
it was a surprise.
You like the kind of thing you don't get anymore. It was a cool system, had some phenomenal games. And when we're done with the Mount Rushmore, remind me to tell you the story of how we got our PS1, because that's a fun story.
Okay,
but I'll
very fun.
For after we're
done.
Yeah,
my first time playing a PS1 for real, like in my home, was we rented it for a weekend, and that was a very good time. Enjoyed that quite a bit. Demolition Derby and Battle Arena Toshinden.
Battle Arena Toshinden.
Yep, that was the fighting game to get in the early days of the PlayStation 1.
Yeah, that was the launch fighting game.
Yeah, people don't remember it, but man. Yeah. All right. Do you have a game that you want to start with? Because I think there's some obvious ones here. Do you want to start with some long shots? What do you want to go with?
Let's go with some obvious ones, get them out of the way. I think an objective choice for me is Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, it feels like it's kind of weird for this list not to have that.
In some ways, that did what Neil Druckmann thinks he's going to do, where everybody played Final Fantasy VII. It felt like the prime example I have of that is one of my best friends growing up. He lived across the street from me when we were little kids. We played video games as kids. You know, he had Nintendo, I did. As we grew up, he became he was a big athlete, very good at basketball, baseball. That was his thing. But he still had a PlayStation. Mostly he played Madden and stuff. And he picked up Final Fantasy VII and 100%ed it.
Wow.
I mean, had the gold chocobo, had the Knights of the Round. And again, it's not like he didn't get Final Fantasy VIII. He didn't get into other RPGs. It was just Final Fantasy VII. He was obsessed with that game. You're right. That is the game that did that in a way that very few things ever have. I don't know if the Final Fantasy series has ever been as relevant. Obviously, it's had games that have sold more than Final Fantasy VII. A couple, though. It's not that many. Right. But in terms of it's just its cultural impact, and that's not just because there was that meteor in the commercial that I remember distinctly, but its cultural impact was just massive in that moment. So anyone in the orbit of gaming knew about it and probably played it.
It was unavoidable. And it it wasn't just emblematic of the PlayStation. It was emblematic of gaming in that time, across the board.
And to talk about its impact on PlayStation, this was the Final Fantasy leaving Nintendo behind and becoming a PlayStation series for a long time, until 13, really. And that was a huge deal, because we even saw tech demos of what Final Fantasy might look like on the Nintendo 64.
Yes, we did, yeah.
And that never came to be. They wanted that CD medium.
Yep.
And PlayStation did what Nintendo don't.
Yes, in that moment, very much so. All right, let's stick with the obvious ones, because what I was thinking here is the obvious ones might definitely be the top 4 here for Mount Rushmore, but not as I start thinking a little bit deeper, it's no, there's some ones that are going to have to be in discussion here, but let's stick with the obvious ones for now. Metal Gear Solid.
Absolutely.
This is, for me, this was the PlayStation game. I enjoyed the effect that Final Fantasy VII had. I liked that everyone was playing it, but I never felt the need much to play it at the time. I could not miss Metal Gear Solid to the point where it's like I didn't have a PlayStation yet when that game came out, and we were going to visit my brother in Michigan, and he had a PlayStation and had Metal Gear Solid, and I spent the whole weekend like just playing that game nonstop and beating it because there's another one. I played it until completion that weekend. It was a really good memory of just like enjoying that game, and it still to me holds up. It's exactly what I want from like a game that's trying to be, tactical espionage and cinematic. Cinematic on the PlayStation 1 was magical. It's like,
with mouths that didn't move,
right?
And it still worked,
right? It
still worked.
It's gesturing at cinematic elements and stuff like that. And there's something better about that because then it enables you to fill in the gaps.
Abstraction.
Yes.
Yeah. Your mind kind of put everything else in place. Yeah, I mean, this game was a technological triumph. You never saw anything that looked or played like this, and that's what I think is important. Even what it has in some later Metal Gear games, for as good as it looked, it still played very well. The core mechanics of the game were very solid. In some ways, because they were simpler than like where the series would go, I feel like the kind of binary nature of some of it worked. Like using the D-pad to move and having more grid-based layouts in a weird way felt better. To me, a lot of the time,
right?
But again, first of all, just did with storytelling. Like this is that first time you're like, oh, games are like movies now.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is where we're going with this. That's cool.
And they didn't need to be more like movies than this was. This was like struck the right balance.
And just the neat tricks and technological gimmicks it had, like dumb things like what was Meryl's codec call? I think it's on the back of the CD case. You're like, holy shit, it's right here. And put down your controller and I would move it with the power of my mind.
Right.
And
awesome video game stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like reading your memory card. Oh, I see you like Symphony of the Night. Like, I do. How did he know?
Yep. And that stuff's great. And it looked great in screenshots, and then you picked up the game and played it, and it had just this very unique style. And to this day, it's like it's stuck with me. All right, what's the next one you want to go for?
So this is where I waffle a little bit because I'm not sure which one's the right answer because you have Resident Evil and you have Resident Evil 2.
Yes, this is good. This is going to be a conversation for sure.
I think throw both up for now.
Yeah, let's put them both up there. Yes.
I mean, Resident Evil was again another and that was the cool thing about such a shift in generation. So many of these games were groundbreaking just because nothing like them had existed before. So you invented some people might argue Alone in the Dark, but you basically invented a genre. And again, maybe not the cinematic heights of Metal Gear, in part because of the goofy translation, but the atmosphere and the dread Resident Evil created. Like everybody remembers the moment those dogs jumped through that goddamn window in that hallway. Everybody talked about that. Honestly, we rented this game. I got to that point and put it down. I couldn't handle it. I was like, nope,
too scary.
We're good. This goes back to Hollywood Video. But then Resident Evil 2 just took everything the first game did, made it better, had the dual storylines, expanded the setting. So like it's the better game. I just don't know which is more impactful, the one who did it first or the one who did it better.
Yes, and I think you're right. Let's put both up there for now, and we'll talk this out. I'm trying to we did the Mount Rushmore of Capcom games, I believe. And I think for that one, we settled.
Similar conversation.
And I think we settled on Resident Evil 1 for that one. And that doesn't necessarily mean we need to do one thing or the other here. I just remember that being the case. And I think, maybe there is a different conversation to be had. Here's what mattered for the PlayStation versus what mattered for Capcom. But we'll get to that point when we get to that point. Let's put a couple more up, and then I think we'll go to the Discord podcast producers here pretty soon. Castlevania Symphony of the Night needs to be up there, though.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, that is
I feel like
game.
the thing that hurt this game the most at the time was that it was a 2D sprite game, like that somehow felt lesser.
Well, it showed up in a handful of reviews. It was treated as lesser in a handful of reviews. There were a lot of people who immediately got what it was doing and saw how important it was. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it is fantastic. It's genre defining. It is the reason we call them Metroidvanias. The RPG systems are fantastic. The music's great. The movement is great. The exploration is exquisite. The literal twist is also amazing. The bad voice acting is iconic. It is a great video game. And even as someone who played the Game Boy Advance ones first, and so has a softer spot for those games. No, this is still an amazing video game.
Mm-hmm. All right. This time I am going to skip the first one for the second one. I'm going to go right to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Yeah, I think this is one we can't not consider at the very least. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
This is one of those games that, again, I mentioned my wife who's not a gamer, but one of the touch points that we have as far as gaming goes is the soundtrack to this game, because
hell yeah,
her and her brothers play Tony Hawk, and she likes ska music, so we know these soundtracks and we listen to them when we're driving sometimes. Again, just it was a great game to pick up and play and do a run. It was a great game to sit down for 3 hours and just chase high scores, unlock secrets, build skaters, find new combo routes. And the controls in this game were just sublimely perfect. It just made sense. It, in a weird way, I always felt like it played like a weird skateboarding fighting game, the way you're inputting all these moves and everything, in a way that just felt very satisfying to pull off. And you memorize your skater's moves the way you memorize a fighter in a fighting game.
Yep, absolutely. And it's it was so playable. It's such a gamer's game, where the mechanics are just so finely tuned that you can feel yourself getting better at them, and that enables you to like spend more time in the levels and get more out of these like awesome runs where you're like, oh, I see how this connects to that, how that connects to this, and if I were to do these moves and throw the manual in there, I can connect it over here and then start this whole other chain. And well, the way I would play it is we would go over to my friend's house, and I think he had it for the Dreamcast. I got
the Dreamcast version 2 was great.
I had it for the N64 at home and was completely fine with that. Like, it was, I had no complaints. I know a lot of people hate those versions, but I was fine. But playing it over my friend's house on the Dreamcast, clearly better. And we would just pass the controller back and forth and try to get higher scores and do this for hours after school every day. And it was just the best. And yeah, really big fan of that game. Okay. I think we should go to the podcast producers now.
Yeah, let's see what they got.
I think they're going to mention a lot of stuff that we're already thinking of. Yes, exactly. I think it brings us right here. Okay. What's that?
Somebody in the Discord asked me if they had to post like exclusive or like Sony games, and I was like, choose whatever you think.
Yes, there is no
follow your heart.
Right, there is no rule for suggesting something. There's definitely rules that will come up as we discuss it, but don't get in your head about that. Just put the game you want to put
whatever game you think is gonna be on the Mount Rushmore, or like whatever version. If you think the PlayStation version of that game should be on the Mount Rushmore,
like you just said with Tony Hawk, we don't have PlayStation. I mean, I played on PlayStation, but I
played it on PlayStation
because it looked better, and that's where I played it most. Yeah, but
exactly,
it's still a very PlayStation game.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I'm almost positive more human beings have played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 on PlayStation 1 than any other device. Like, that sounds right to me. All right, let's start here with Darashi, who says Parappa the Rapper. One of the most PlayStation games. Like, the most PlayStation 1 game in my mind in a lot of ways. Yes. Were you a Parappa the Rapper guy?
Yeah, I think this is one that we must have just rented it a bit. I don't know if I ever owned it.
Yeah, I never.
But I love rhythm games. That's a genre that we glommed onto early on. And this was a good controller-based take on it. For some reason, I didn't like Jammer and Lammy as much. I don't think the soundtrack connected with me. But Parappa the Rapper, very fun, and just an incredible art style for what they were doing on PS1 hardware. It was really astounding.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, sweet, we are getting odd Japanese stuff here that has a ton of style, and to me that's like what PlayStation was synonymous with in a lot of ways.
For a long time.
Obviously there was a million like I don't know, like big budget or like big Western games or games that like are just this is a sci-fi game. Siphon filter. Here's Colony Wars. Here's all that stuff. But when I thought of PlayStation, I would think of stuff like Parappa the Rapper. Screaming Madden says NFL Game Day 97. No Madden. NFL Game Day. Yeah, that's the first time I think we've had one of these where Scream Madden didn't try to say Madden. To be fair, though, NFL Game Day 97 was astounding compared to Madden that year. It was.
I don't know that I ever played it.
It was like such a leap forward that Madden, like EA was like, all right, shit, we got to rethink everything.
Yeah, we got to get our shit together.
And they did very quickly.
Competition's good in the football game space, it turns out.
Oh, I don't think it's necessary. I think you just give it to one company that has the most money.
Yeah, for sure.
And then they're putting Madden there and the emojis. There you can see everybody. Mr. Bowler says Tekken 3. This is definitely one I think we'll end up considering. This is like the 3D fighting game that I think is
and my issue is we were not a Tekken house growing up.
Right.
We were a Soul Calibur house because we had a Dreamcast. We played a shit ton of Soul Calibur.
Definitely.
And on top of that, Virtua Fighter, because I had that on my Saturn, which I had before PlayStation, and I loved Virtua Fighter. So I kind of like those were my 3D fighting games. So I really have not played a lot of Tekken at all in general.
Tekken is great. Tekken 2 is the one I played the most, but Tekken 3 is, I think, decidedly the best one, I believe, in most people's estimation. Jackie G says Final Fantasy VII, which we talked about. Stellar Eden says Tekken 2. Dr. Lynch says Xenogears. I never played Xenogears.
I've never played it either. I know everything about it. I know about the rushed ending. We had a friend, Mike and I, you may have heard him talk about Fixer. Fixer loved Xenogears.
Yep.
Loved it.
It's yes, and honestly, I think this is just the magazine ad that comes to my mind first when I think of Xenogears. More than anything else, I think of this ad of this character standing over here like this. Yeah,
I think Mike said if they did a remake of this with a proper ending, that would be cool.
It would.
That'd be really cool. I'd be into that.
Yep. Bear says the PlayStation demo disc with Crash and Spyro and Spider-Man. I think probably
everything you need.
Yeah, baseball and what is that? Medieval.
Medieval.
Yeah, that's listen, this is the demo disc system. This and PS2 are the ones I most associate with demo discs, even though they're on a lot of things. Evo Janice says Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Freedom McLiberty Ball says Crash Bandicoot. How do you feel about Crash Bandicoot getting considered? This is 2.
This is 2. Yeah.
Yes.
Boy, I mean, it feels like as far as importance to the brand, he is up there.
Yep.
I fall in between you and Mike. I don't hate the Crash games,
sure,
but I didn't like play them compulsively. And back, we had the first one. Again, I think we rented the other 2 a couple of times, but like they never felt as good to me as a Mario 64. And like, what did?
Right. Of
so
course.
I just kind of dismissed them a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. Crash 2. I've played all 3 of these games now. I don't hate them either. I just don't think they're very fun as video games. I think they're great at like establishing a brand and a style and a character.
Right.
I think all that stuff is kind of the best.
I like Crash Bandicoot the brand more than Crash Bandicoot the game. If that makes sense. I wear
that Crash Bandicoot shirt because I think the character is actually legit cool. I really like him.
Yes.
And at the very least, I probably will when we go back to the list add Crash Bandicoot on there just so we can say that we considered it because I think it is that important to the brand.
Agreed.
That might also go for Tomb Raider. What do you think?
This is another one. We had this on the Sega Saturn. So
that's really? The Saturn version?
We had the Saturn version.
It's a weird game, too, because the way that they made the 3D graphics working that, it's like completely different than all the other versions.
Yeah, they're completely different. It's not like a port. It's almost like a remake.
Yes.
But, yeah, I mean, Tomb Raider, obviously, huge influence in the world of gaming. This was the sexy character, and, we all wanted to find that nudity code. It was in there somewhere. EGM was going to publish it any day now, and I mean, I don't think it holds up at all as a video game.
No.
But it's hard to deny the pop culture influence of Tomb Raider.
That's right. Joy Z says Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. I tried playing Soul Reaver. This was recently. I just couldn't get it. I don't get it. I missed the opportunity.
This was another one that was a Dreamcast game to me, and I loved it. I devoured this game. Yeah, I played it all the way through. But again, in my head, it's a Dreamcast game.
Sure. Yes, and I think I'm glad it's getting mentioned here, but I don't know if either of us are going to push it onto the list.
Really good game though.
Rebirth Wolf 5 says Spyro. Ripto's Rage. Is this Spyro 2, right?
Maybe.
I think there's a 2 in the background there. Okay.
I like the Spyro games. It always felt to me like their levels were too small for what they wanted to do. Like you had all this gliding and dashing, but you could never get like going because the levels weren't big enough.
Yeah, I thought
also always know every time you save a dragon, it's like, you may ask me one question, young Spyro, and he'd like, what's the secret to finally melting metal? And they're like, always like, you can't. Like, we know. Why do you keep asking that?
Can Dragonfire melt steel beams? Oh man. Okay. All right. You guys are.
Reminds me of that tragedy.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
We got one, everybody. We got one.
Yeah. Hey, I like those Spyro remakes. I thought they were pretty decent, but
their art style was incredible. I love how every Elder Dragon got like a unique look. Those
right. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
I just
think if you're gonna go head to head with PlayStation mascot platformers, I do think Crash edges out Spyro. Just barely, but I think he does.
I think Spyro are more my kind of games, but I think I still kind of agree with you. I just didn't think the Spyro games were a ton of fun. That's all. Mm-hmm. Bench JC says Metal Gear Solid. I will join the 100 club there. Metal Gear. Indeed. Two-time champ Beefhammer says Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Tommy Pencil says Tale of the Sun. Absolutely. That is a PlayStation game.
I played this game. What? Hang on. I need to see a screenshot.
Yeah, no problem. This is the one that Dan just made me play on Giant Bomb in the last year or so. And it's a caveman game where you have to build a tower to the sun, basically.
Yeah. I think, again, it's funny to think how many of these games we rented because this was the heyday of Blockbuster and Hollywood Video.
So many games, yes.
So I rented so many of these games. Yeah, this game was cool.
Man, that just made me like.
They don't make them like they used to.
Yeah, they don't make them like then. They don't make them you walk into a store.
It would be a mobile game with a bunch of microtransactions.
And that is not the same. RT Bick says Gran Turismo 2. I'm not a Gran Turismo guy.
No, me neither. Again, I think. I almost want to say put it up there because Gran Turismo was a big deal on the PlayStation. This was the first time we had the realistic sim driving as a mainstream product. Like we had arcade racers. These games exist on PC. But this was people getting in there and adjusting spring ratios and their engines. And I heard that and I was like, give me Daytona. Yep. But people love this game.
Yeah, it sold very well. If it's like among the best-selling games on PlayStation. And the game, it really did look amazing. Obviously, it was very stunning graphics. Adam GC says Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Let's see. B here says Parasite Eve, which it's definitely like would be on like the Mount Rushmore of PlayStation RPGs. I think maybe not definitely, but it would 100% be in that conversation. I don't think it's going to make this list. I want to revisit
this game.
Yeah,
again, it's one we rented, and I played it. And I can't remember much about it. It's weird. I have like a weird memory hole about it.
I never played it, but obviously it felt like a big deal. But I don't even really know how it plays. Is it a turn-based RPG?
Yeah, but you can move around.
Yeah, you like move. It was weird.
It wasn't because like you had turns, but you had like movement in the middle of the battle, which was
like almost Final Fantasy 12-ish, Vagrant Story-ish, but not like it was unique.
Yeah. They should bring it back. They should just like. If they're going to do this whole strategy of like going back to IP, this is the one they need to bring back the most, I think.
They can't. They don't own the novels, bro.
I know, but they got to find a way to make it happen. Breadfish mentions Persona 2. Just Persona. Yeah, there it is. Eternal Punishment. Okay, yeah. I
knew nothing of the Persona games as a lad.
At this point, I did no idea this franchise even existed. JD Camp says Dance Dance Revolution Disney mix. I'm sorry, Christian, what were you going to say?
No, I was about to say the Persona 2 is still like very Shin Megami Tensei, very like dungeon crawler, not third person, like isometric view.
Like 100% more Hitler in it, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's wild.
Now we need to talk about a better game, and that's Dance Dance Revolution Disney mix because this ruled.
I like this game quite a bit. This is the era where I was also playing Dance Dance Revolution. I had it for PS1. And I love that. I have my pad out all the time because I want to play it. I'm like, I did just find out my Dance Dance, there's that like clone hero basically equivalent for Dance Dance. I have that installed on this PC over there. I'm like, oh, there it is. I should just plug it in and just play. And I'm going to. And I'm going to play these songs.
Yeah, we played this at home, and then they had the arcade cabinet for it at Disney World outside of the arcade outside Space Mountain. And Mike and I were playing it. It's not like we were like great at it. We were just competent enough. And we actually like drew a crowd watching us dance like the weird like hip hop mixed version of Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That was fun.
That's amazing. I love that.
Oh, Jeff, it was bad. So we were at a kid's birthday party at this local arcade, and they have it set up where there's like a retro room that's coin op, a front room that has like the ticket redemption games, but then like there's a side room, and it's just like a $10 all you can eat for the day kind of thing. And they had a DDR machine, So like, come on, Soph, let's play this game. Like, Dad used to play this all the time back in the day. Well, this room's not air conditioned.
Oh,
and it was
no.
hot as balls.
Oh,
and I'm wearing flip flops. So I'm trying to play DDR with no air conditioning and flip flops, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't do
Daddy's
it.
dying. Go get help.
The dance is inside me, but it can't get out.
Willow Davis in chat says, nothing good to say about Crash and Spyro, but gushing over DDR. And you're goddamn right I am.
Yeah, absolutely. One was fun.
Dance Dance Revolution is one of the best games ever made. Literally.
Seriously.
I think it's in my top 100. It better be. If it's not, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
God forbid we have some fun on this motherfucking video.
Yeah. Nolan says Twisted Metal 2, another PlayStation-esque PlayStation game.
Yeah, that is a PlayStation. And Twisted Metal 2 is fun.
Oh, yeah.
I like Twisted Metal 2 a lot.
Yes, definitely. Chaos Buckaroo, I was waiting to see if someone would mention this one. If not, I was going to bring it up. Vagrant Story. This is a late Squaresoft RPG, action RPG for PlayStation with some of the most amazing visuals for any video game ever.
I never played this back in the day. I've had some false starts on it via emulation. I always say one day I'm gonna like actually play through this game. You know what it always felt to me? I think it's more to do with the way the cutscenes are kind of staged, and again they talk without moving their mouths. It felt like they made an RPG in the Metal Gear Solid engine.
Yes, it really does feel that way. Yes, and it looks even better, and it's got the like thought bubbles that actually pop up in the world, so it's got like this comic book vibe as well. It's just friggin' fantastic. It's so cool.
Remake this, come on.
Yeah, 24 hours on how long to beat. It's like, okay, that's quite a bit for the main story, and then 32 hours for main plus sides. That's a beefy game to go back to, but it's it'd probably be worth it. All right, Teriyaki Blue says Ape Escape.
Ape Escape was fun. It was important because we had analog sticks on the Sega Saturn and the N64, and Sony's like, 2 analog sticks, and you're like, why? And before we even had shooters figured out, they were like, because you got to control these monkeys and these nets, and it's like, oh, obviously, yes,
of course,
2 analog sticks.
Yeah, the monkey stick, yeah. Yep. This is the game that made that stick, the dual stick, important, and you had to play it with that, right? This game,
you had to. I don't think it was an option. Yeah, it did not run without the dual. Well, not even the dual sense or dual shock. It was just the
PlayStation controller. I think it's what it's called.
PlayStation analog controller. Yeah.
Allie Miracle says a Gamera 2000.
I was like, what is it? Oh yeah, there's Gamera.
Yep, that's a good video game. I really do like that quite a bit. Tears of the Boomers says Intelligent Cube. I never played Intelligent Cube. I was an irritating stick fella. I read it
once.
Sure.
This is basically you're just avoiding these cubes as they kind of flip by, right?
That's what I thought. Yes.
Yeah, something like that. I think I played it once. So yeah.
I like the cover. Looks like the like an alternative cover for like Sphere from Michael Crichton or something like that, like a sci-fi novels cover.
Yeah.
All right. I was wondering if someone would finally mention it. Always Be Clothing / Corgi says Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard because like Final Fantasy VII, I think, has a lock, and even though it is a very different game, can we have 2 Final Fantasies? But again, gorgeous pixel art, super fun tactical gameplay, a cool, mature story. There was a lot to like about this game.
Yep. I have always been more of a Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced guy, but when I play Tactics, I enjoy it just as much. Lenny Controversy Dick Denver says Castlevania was taken, so Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, which I believe someone else also
the rules said images only, Lenny.
Yeah, Lenny. Wow,
this controversy has gone too far.
Yes, there we go.
To the jail.
Yep, there it is. Clink says Wipeout 2097. You know what I'm surprised by? The lack of love for Wipeout these days. It feels like most people have decided, it was good for the time, and I don't want it anymore. And I was like, I never loved
They did
Wipeout,
that collection on PS4 that was really well done. It had great, from what I understand, because I didn't have it, but it had great PSVR support. I feel like at the time, especially for me, Wipeout could not get out of F-Zero's shadow.
Yeah, I think Wipeout had all of the style in the world. In fact, I think NoClip.
Incredible menus.
Yes.
Incredible menus.
They're teasing that they're doing something with Psygnosis for their next documentary. And I'm like, I can't wait to watch that because I love everything. I love everything surrounding Wipeout. Whenever I would play Wipeout, this is not as fun as F-Zero. The biggest part for me is like you would scrape the wall and you'd come to a complete stop. And I'm like, why are you making me stop in this game where I'm supposed to feel like I'm going fast? That's just a bad design decision.
The most fun I had with Wipeout was the Vita version.
Yeah,
I forget what it was
I think the game's getting better.
That was great.
The Vita one is incredible.
Yeah, that was really solid.
Cool.
What was it called?
Incredible. Yeah.
Wipeout X or Wipeout XL or?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember people loving that Vita one. Yeah. But
yeah, that was a really good version.
Talk about soundtracks. The soundtracks of these games were incredible. They were like Euro trash nightclub soundtracks. It's amazing.
That was Wipeout 2048.
That's right. Okay. T Money OG says Resident Evil. Input name here says Monster Rancher, the game where you put in music CDs to create your own monsters.
That was a fun gimmick, but the game itself was just okay.
Yep, just okay. I was also wondering if this would come up. I'm like, if it doesn't, I wonder if Mike is at the end here and says this one. Ridge Racer Type 4 from Namco.
Any news on the new one, Jeff? Can you?
Oh, what's that?
Yeah, anything to confirm for Ridge Racer?
Oh God, you guys, I could never with Mike not being here. That would just I couldn't break his heart like that. So we'll wait until he's back.
Fair. That's
of course.
All right.
I just need to put out there. Mike has like made this game his identity. I played the shit out of it back in the day. I had the yellow.
Oh really?
Car
I didn't know that.
Batmobile. Oh, I loved Ridge Racer 4, and it was great because it also came with like a bonus disc. That was the original, like one track from the original Ridge Racer, but running at 60 FPS. Now, here was the fun thing. Remember PlayStation games, sometimes you could, like, once the game was loaded, you could take the disc out and put in, like, a CD and right. Start playing that music, because the music was just, like, tracks 2 through whatever.
Right, it was doing the Red Book audio. It was just reading it off the CD, yeah.
So, my mom had Ricky Martin's, the album that had Living La Vida Loca on it.
Yeah.
This is what was great, though. So, it just happened to work that whatever track it wanted for the race was Leaving La Vida Loca, which is a fun song to race Ridge Racer to. But then the results screen happened to be the Spanish version of Living La Vida Loca. It just worked. It just worked really, really well.
Now, I feel like Mike would be mad because like one of the things he loves about this game is the soundtrack. So replacing it with Ricky Martin.
I kind of did bastardize it a little bit. But no, Ridge Racer Type 4 is I think remains untouched as one of the greatest arcade racers of all time.
I'm also a major fan of Ridge Racer Type 4. Mason W echoes the Parasite Eve love. Service Kane says Magical Tetris Challenge from Capcom. I
forget this existed.
Me too.
That's wild.
Yeah, look at this game. And for people wondering, it's magical because it has Mickey Mouse and
Pete.
Pete's. That's right. I always want to say Bluto, but that's a different thing.
That's close.
Hammond of Texas says Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles and GTA 2. I enjoy GTA 2.
Submission per person.
Oh, yeah. Hammond. Oh, sorry. You're going to jail.
And these are now disqualified.
Yep. Sorry.
Yeah.
I can't believe no one else has made like a GTA 2 like yet.
Wait, there is a couple actually. There's American Fugitive.
Think about it.
American Fugitive, which is very much like that. They always modernize it, and there's a ton of extra features. And then there's the Grand Theft Horse game that I played, where it's like a medieval Grand Theft Auto game.
That's funny.
And that was also a good time. Barv Spackle says Parappa the Rapper. Wiesman says Pandemonium 2, where they really sexed it up for
They did sex it up.
Yep. I remember her being in a swimsuit issue of one of those gaming magazines back in the day. Very weird. But the Pandemonium 2 is actually a lot of fun. I only just played it recently and enjoyed myself quite a bit.
The first one's good too. I like both those games a lot.
Taniel says Einhander, which is the best shooter on PlayStation 1. And back then, shooter meant
down.
Playing as like a little ship shooting on the screen, not a first-person shooter. But Einhander is maybe the peak of that entire genre.
Isn't it Einhander? Einhander feels like this should have been some weird small game that no one else has heard of, but you picked up randomly. But I feel like everyone played it.
Well, I think it reviewed really well. So I think a lot of people who were like in the know were like aware of this game immediately as soon as it like got reviewed. And so I think it kind of lived through that a little bit.
Yeah, I see it coming up in chat. Is Einhander actually good or a meme? No, it's a great game. It's a really good shmup.
Yes.
Yeah, go check it out.
Another one of those games that you're going to be like, this is another PS1 game oozing with style. Just crushed with style. It's amazing. Willow Davis says, I don't know, some Mega Man bullshit.
Is this X4? Oh, wait, no. This is not Mega Man bullshit. Mega Man X4 is fantastic.
That's right. You're also a big fan of the X games. That's right. Yes.
Playing as Zero was awesome because he played like just differently enough from Mega Man that you really got kind of two different experiences out of it. It also had like the bad anime voice acting, but like kind of so bad it's good. Mega Man X4 is incredible soundtrack, great 2D artwork. I love X4.
I'll give X4 a try. I've always tried to get into the X series and bounced off quickly off of X1. Maybe I'll just go play X4.
You bounced off X1?
Yeah, I don't know.
X1's one of the best games ever made.
I know. I have nothing. It's nothing against it. I think it's a problem with me. There's just something that doesn't click with me in Mega Man games.
It's your bad brain.
It's my bad brain. It's, I think, the biggest issue here. It is one where it's like I need to sit down and have you guys like coach me through how to enjoy it, because I bet once I get over that hump, I'll love it.
It is one of those games. If you play the SNES one, has an MSU mod where it's like the Red Book audio, and it's great.
Ooh, okay.
But also Maverick Hunter X, the kind of 2.5D remake on PSP, also fantastic.
Okay, all right.
So there are two very good ways to play that game.
I'm gonna check them out. Matt says Tekken 3. Laserwolf says WWF SmackDown. Not a lot of love for the wrestling games on PlayStation, but glad to at least see
I was playing them all on N64 this time.
Yeah, they were better. They were just straight up were better. Cascoder says Crash Bandicoot 2. Big Tony says Mega Man Legends.
We had Legends.
Yeah,
it's a good thing Sean's not here. I thought it was okay, but it was just missing that something. That sauce was missing.
Oh my god, he's like right now his like heart just skipped and he missed one of his combos and you caused him to lose. Oh man. All right. Nick says, what do we think this is?
This looks familiar. What the hell is this?
Is this Incredible Crisis? I never played it yet, so whatever it is, it's amazing. It's a man on a gurney. Just bombing down the street. Yeah, going a million miles. Yeah, this is Incredible Crisis? Okay. Shit. Right, why didn't I play Incredible Crisis? Why did I let Jan play Mr. Mosquito? I could have been playing this. This is amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, and it's a crisis.
It looks like weirdly modern. Like this looks like something like a indie would make with throwback graphics.
Yeah, for real, totally.
Like actual from the time PS1 game.
Right. If I saw this on Steam, I would get it immediately. I guess. Yeah, a little bit. Or Subway Surfers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Villain Max says Metal Gear Solid. Cryoris says Armored Core. I never really got into Armored Core games before 6. I've definitely tried them here and there, but never really got into them. Gigantes 42 says Monster Rancher. Christian wraps it up with Einhander. All right.
Where does that leave us?
Okay, so right now what we have is what I've written down before this point is Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil 2, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Are there any of those games that we want to add to this short list at this moment, the ones that we read from the podcast producers?
So I just closed that list. I wish I left it open.
Tenshu's a game that I highly associate with the PlayStation Frozen Wing X, but it's probably not going to make this list here. It'd be very tough to do that. Let me see here.
Let's put Einhander up there just to say we did.
Okay, I like that.
Just to talk about it because I like that game.
I like Einhander a lot.
And I think we said we were going to put Crash up there. It seemed like the consensus is Crash 2.
Crash 2, yes. I put Ridge Racer Type 4 up there.
Yeah.
Tekken Racer. Yeah, Tekken 3. I do want to have Tekken 3 up there.
For sure.
Yep. And then if anyone else wants to shout out any of the other ones that we might have mentioned, let's see. It's probably not
should we put Parappa in there? I feel like that came up enough that we can talk about it.
Okay.
Parasite Eve, I don't know.
Sure.
I'll tell you right now, that's not going to make it for me. I mean, you can if you want.
Yep.
That's already out. Gran Turismo 2 should probably go up.
Yeah, we can have
for
that.
Now.
Okay. All right. And then
I feel like that's
Revolution.
Yeah, if you want to put DDR.
There we go. Final Fantasy Tactics. Yes, there we go.
Yeah, put Tactics.
Okay.
All
right. So once again, Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil 1 and 2, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, Einhander, Ridge Racer Type 4, Crash 2, Tekken 3, Parappa, the Rapper, Gran Turismo 2, Dance Dance Revolution, and Final Fantasy Tactics. I agree with you about these two for sure. And then it probably is one of the Resident Evils, which immediately leaves us with one space, I think.
Oof, that's hard.
Let's go with Resident Evil 2. I think we should.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, something about that is like even more PlayStation than Resident Evil 1 for some reason in my head. Not that like if we put Resident Evil up there, it would look just as fine. But I don't know. I think Resident Evil 2
guess it comes down to like almost like as much as the game, like what genre do we want to represent?
Yeah, and it's like it's tough because like there's a couple here that I like lean towards. Obviously, like I think the safest pick would probably be Symphony of the Night, but I think my heart goes towards Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. I wouldn't hate putting Ridge Racer up there or even Tekken 3. There's a bunch of stuff that I'm considering. Where are you going right now?
Like, as I'm trying to get nitpicky in my head, I'm like, I'm almost docking Tony Hawk because it is multi-platform, and that's where our specific memories even of it are. Yeah, it feels disingenuous, but again, I'm trying to split hairs, I guess.
Yeah, in the world, I remember just like in that time walking around, and just everyone else in the world was thinking of this as a PlayStation game. So that might just be a you and me thing, I think, to a certain extent.
And I think that just goes to, in general, I mean, PlayStation was the more popular system at the time, so it definitely has that going for it.
It's tough. I mean, we can avoid it altogether by going with Symphony of the Night, I think. But
yeah, and that feels good too, because again, it defined a genre along with Super Metroid. Basically, again, they're called Metroidvanias because of this game.
Yep.
As much as I would like to put Ridge Racer Type 4, and I think Mike would like that too.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite cross that line for me.
Yeah, it's close.
I could hear the argument for Crash, less for the game and again more for the character.
Yeah,
but is that what we're really after here? I don't think so.
Right, and it's like we are doing this in 2024, where like Crash, like this is like a 1% change, but the fact that it is like how an Xbox IP, it's like it's a 1% really change. It's still obviously a PlayStation iconic thing, but not the way it once was in my heart, in my mind. Yeah, we probably should just do Castlevania.
Tekken 3 and Gran Turismo, they weren't my games, so it's hard for me to say much.
Yeah, I'm not going to be pushing Gran Turismo up there.
Yeah, Final Fantasy Tactics, we have a Final Fantasy, so I'm good there.
Yeah, and
you know I'm
yeah, go ahead.
I'm going Symphony of the Night, I think.
I think so too. I think it's the easy choice, which probably means it's the right choice. I think. Yeah. So, I mean, that does mean that our Mount Rushmore is Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil 2, and Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And if you had asked me when we started, this is probably what I would have said. So
pretty close.
That means we probably got it right as well. All right.
I didn't quite know what that fourth one was yet, but I knew those three.
Yes, and like for me, it's like part of me is like, well, I would have thought of Symphony of the Night before I might have thought of Resident Evil 2 even. But yeah, just the way I was thinking, that's how important those Castlevania games are to me. But looking at the list, it's like, yeah, obviously that is right. All right, I'm gonna post this to Twitter, have people yell at us. We'll take another quick break. We'll come back. We'll do super chats and talk about what we've been playing right after this.
All right.
Break.
The break is on.
Break. You skipped my iHunter joke, so I put it in.
I saw it.
Well, I missed it. Well, yeah. Well, I didn't even look at it.
Go ahead, look at it again, then he can punch you.
Okay. Let's see here. Right. I'll go here, go there. Nine-hander. Was it? What was that? What is the joke? I'm missing it.
It's okay. Never mind.
Okay, I'm sorry to disappoint you.
You didn't do that with your friends if you did that and they saw it, they got a punch?
Okay, no, not really. No, I do remember that vaguely. People did do that around me, but that was not part of my. We just hit each other in the nuts because we were stupid. So,
there you go. You were men.
Yes, exactly. We lived our life as men.
Oh, it's not a white power thing. I'm dead.
Yeah. Okay.
That was the thing. I know this from Ben Pack from Jam Bomb.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he did talk about that too. That's right. Also, it was I couldn't get it to frame it up because the browser wouldn't scroll down that far to actually get into the window there on the stream. So
I thought every American knew this.
I bet it's much more popular with more people.
It's like 85%.
Yeah, I bet more
penetration.
Like, yeah, now that you mention it, it's like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, punch you.
Okay. Let's get back into it.
Okay.
All right, let's go back into it.
All right, we're back. Let's wrap up some more super chats. Do we have any more?
Yeah, we have a handful, and then I'll tell my PlayStation story. I tease too, because I don't want to forget that. So let's start with Ali Miracle, who says, always fun to say, Air Gates, God bless the ring.
Yeah,
that's a great subtitle.
Yeah, guys, God bless the ring. Yes, what a weird game.
All right, El Grug says, Minotti, Grubb, grilling, and Mega Man Extreme when? We will find a fine summer day after I get Jeff to buy a grill.
Yeah, I'll buy a grill. I'll invite him over. We'll make some time of it. Yeah, it'll be beautiful.
And then Darachi says, hey, the PS1 was kind of incredible, huh? It really was. It not only was it like technologically cool when it came out, but they had the games.
Yep.
And those games, they had the juice. Like,
yes, they did.
They were good games.
This console was so big here in Argentina that now when people doesn't say let's go play video games, they should say let's go play, because the PlayStation was like video game, like it
Nintendo
took like that
in America,
yeah, like the Nintendo, it became that thing where like a brand takes over like a concept,
right,
or like a general thing. This incredible console.
It's
and the PS1, it's a fun system to emulate because it really does. You can put some filters and some upscaling and even some texture packs if you want, and everything looks great, but it's also fun to play it at that original chunky resolution.
Yep. Yeah, like those swimming polygons actually have a really strong personality to them. I'm always going to be like a Nintendo fan, but when I think of like, okay, well, what I want from a console outside of that, it's what the PS1 did. That's what I want.
Mm-hmm. So to the story of how we got our PlayStation. So Chris had a Little League football practice, and Mike and I always got dragged to these. Usually we just had our Game Boys and we were playing like Pokemon or something, and we were walking through the parking lot, just a gravel parking lot by the football and baseball fields in town, and I look down by this car and I see some money. I'm like, oh, money, and I pick it up, and it's like a stack of $20 bills equaling $300. I'm like, okay, like conscience kicks in, like, well, you can't just take this.
Mm-hmm. So
we go to our dad and we're like, Dad, we found $300, like, what do we do? And he's like, I don't know, try to figure out who it belongs to. And we legit went to every person at this practice to ask if anyone had lost some money, and no one claimed it. I mean, we truly tried everybody. So then we went back to our dad and said, hey, we can't find anyone who said they lost money. No one has said anything. He's like, well, I guess it's yours. And we're like, oh my God, it's, when you're a teenager,
right,
in 1996, I was 12, 13. That's a lot of money. So,
and how much does the PlayStation cost? Well, we know $299 because of
E3. Believe me, I drew that conclusion very quickly. So literally, it's like, Dad, when football practice is over, could you take us over to Toys R Us? And he knew we wanted a PlayStation at this point, and our mom had said no, they don't need one. They can wait till Christmas or whatever. So yeah, we literally, football practice wrapped up, we went to Toys R Us and bought a PlayStation.
Yeah.
And took it home, and that's how we got it. Now, fast forward years later, and we were reminiscing about this story one day, and we stopped and we go, wait a minute. So Dad knew we wanted a PlayStation. Mom said no. Did Dad plant money for us to find?
It's really not. It's not impossible.
It is not impossible.
I
think that's actually what happened in hindsight.
Yep.
So yes, that's how our dad tricked our mom. And
that's a good move. That's a good move.
Sure.
That's great.
I'm pretty sure.
I also like that he's like, if someone claims that money, it's just gone. But that's the risk I'm taking. That's a good dad move. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So we learned a good lesson.
Do you remember what games you got with it?
We were taught honesty. I know we had Battle Arena Toshinden early, and I don't know what else we got. We would have had it probably Crash Bandicoot. That was a launch game, right? I think we had those too.
Early-ish, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm curious. Cool. PS1 launch lineup.
Very cool. All right. Well, while he's looking that up, let's talk about what we've been playing. I did just start Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. So this is just very initial reactions. It looks amazing. It looks so good. I'm so happy with like just the way that they have upgraded the visual style of the game. I think it looked great on GameCube, but I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't like paying a ton of attention to like what they were doing here or how they were improving it. I looked at the trailers, was like, that looks pretty cool. But once I'm playing, I'll know whether or not it's like that feels that like that much of a leap, and it really does. it feels like a game that could kind of come out today, basically in every way.
So it's not like you're playing, you're like, yeah, this is what it looked like, and then only when you look at like old screenshots and footage you realize, or is it like immediately apparent, like, oh yeah, this is?
I think it's like a drastic change in some ways. So yeah, I think it's immediately apparent, and that makes it feel that much more fun to play. It's already a game that's
even
fun.
At that peasant frame rate.
Yes, exactly. It's the frame rate is not noticeable because it's locked. And because I think that they have built the game around that whole idea so that they knew how to like animate it properly to take advantage of this.
Well, that's good.
Yes, it's great. And then overall it's like, okay, it's got so much style, so much character. Rogueport, which I've been calling Toadport in the last couple episodes. Rogueport is great. That is also like just a great setting. The small little paper effects of like, oh, the boat is dropping you off and now it wants to go in the other direction. So it's just literally just going to flip over and then start going away in the other direction. All those effects are great as well. I think that a lot of people are going to end up playing this after hearing about it for so long and be like, well, does it really hold up? And I think the answer for most people is going to be an astounding yes. Like 100% it holds up. Yes. So very, very happy with that. It is now available on Switch right now. So if you want to go get it, go do so. I did do the voucher thing, so now I have an extra voucher, and I'm like,
oh, that's smart.
Should I use that for Princess Peach for my girls, or should I just hold on to that and see what they announce at E3? We'll see. Beyond that, a lot of the games I've been playing recently, spent some more time with Ghost of Tsushima, been enjoying that. Not positive I'm going to stick with it.
I've never actually played this at all. I think I have it on PS5 from PS Plus or something.
It's a beautiful game. Yeah. It is as beautiful as people say, and that mostly comes down to the art. It is here's a vast field of amazing foliage, and your character's going to go through it, and the wind's going to blow all these things around that. It's all animated in a really beautiful way. And so like going through those spaces is great. And then I think everything else is like not just like serviceable, it's good. It's just I'm like, I don't know if I want to play a big long version like one of these right now. That's all there is to it. So a game that I think I appreciate and am not going to fall in love with, and I think that's completely fine.
That sounds good.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Ash Guy? You been playing anything?
Yeah, so I put a few hours into Hellblade 2 since it launched Tuesday on Game Pass on my PC.
Right.
I have never felt so back and forth about a game as I'm playing it than I may have for this. First of all, it's gorgeous. I mean,
it really does. It is visually
looks
impressive.
Incredible. Again, on my system with a 4070 Ti with all the DLSS stuff it's doing, I can max it out at 4K and I'm getting 60 FPS. And I mean, it looks astounding. Truly mind-blowing stuff. The playing it, there's kind of like 3 modes of play that happen. It's the thing that was a little afraid of, it seemed to be more of an issue in the very beginning where it was kind of like more prologue-y, but it's like you're climbing these rocks and like you hit forward and she does like 7 different climbing animations, but then just stops because you're not pushing anything anymore. It's like, just what's the point of me holding up right now? Just climb.
Just climb.
There's no variability here. It's just going. So just go. So you have that, but then you get to kind of where you're walking around the world, and the puzzles. And again, so I come at this as someone I've never touched the first game. I just kind of missed it for some reason. So I have no baggage or expectation of how this plays. I truly didn't know what I was getting into. The puzzle solving seems to really break down to like, here's a symbol, find where like some pieces of wood and some pieces of building, if you stand at this angle, they make that symbol, which feels fine. It's a little like rote, I guess.
Right.
Like it feels very video gamey and what is otherwise a not very video gamey game, if that makes sense. But it's fine. It's not hard or anything. It's very obvious, actually. They're all painted red. This game does that thing that I hate, where it's like the critical path just kind of has like white paint kind of smeared on it.
Sure.
Like Uncharted. I don't know why we still do that. Like, it's not like it's hard to figure out where to go. It's pretty linear.
Yeah, and it feels like this game's like afraid of it, like losing any momentum, because the whole thing is it feels cinematic. So anytime it feels like I'm stuck because it's being a game, that we don't want that. I think that's what happened.
Right. The combat is it's simple, but it works really well. It's all timing, blocks and parries and dodges. It animates just incredibly. Like the fights look really cinematic. The only goofy thing is all the fights are 1v1. So there's like a scene that I went through that was a fairly big battle, and there's like people kind of on your side, and the monster bad guys you're fighting. And it's like you kill one guy, and another guy literally grabs you by the shoulder and turns you around as if he's saying, "Okay, my turn." Like, it doesn't, like, why didn't he just stab me? He came up behind me. It's like, no, square up now. It's my turn.
I've heard there's an item later that changes how all that works and makes it go a lot faster. But it's
okay. That's cool. Like, I have one thing. It's like a mirror. I don't know if that's important from the first game, but that's like it's like it charges up when it flashes. You hit it. You go kind of like a bullet time. You basically just mash the X button and kill what you're fighting.
Okay.
But again,
What would you say about like what you should say about like people waiting for you to attack is like a very movie thing to do, you know?
Yeah.
How, like,
but you don't. It's not like they're waiting for you to attack. You don't see them. They're all off camera. So it's not like I'm like there's 10 guys in this arena. I got to fight them all. It's just I'm just fighting, and then the next guy comes and I'm fighting. Then another guy like knocks into me. It sounds like it is. It's not. It's not disorienting. It's just very much like you're just kind of going down a line. Again, it mostly works. It's just it's one of those things you stop and think about it too much and it becomes goofy. But in the moment, it's totally fine. The big thing I always heard about this game was its treatment of mental health and how Senua is affected by what's going on around her. It gives you a plot summary of the first game, and it sounds like, and I heard this as a criticism, like she kind of faced her demons and conquered them in the first game. And it feels like it does that sequel thing where it's like, well, we forgot about all those lessons we learned last time. We're back to square one again.
Or it's like, well, now it's time to face the real demons.
Right. And so, like, it's kind of annoying because so there's these voices in her head, the Furies. Technically, they're cool because it's using that kind of 3D headphone audio to feel like people are whispering in your ear. And I get a kick out of that. They did a lot of things at the Disney theme parks, and I always enjoyed that. But it's like, the whole thing, show don't tell. This is very tell without showing. Like,
really,
she's afraid. She can't do it. She won't stand up.
Sure.
Why won't she stand up? But it's like, well, you can shut the fuck up. I'm trying to stand up. I'm pushing forward. This is the animation. I can't help it. Like, and it's just dumb because it feels like, I don't know. I felt like she's supposed to be this badass warrior chick who like fought gods in hell. Why can't she climb up this rock and fight this dude with a sword? Like,
that might be because I didn't play much of the first one. I played some of it. She in that game, I don't know if she ever does become a badass. I think she conquers her inner demons, but I don't know if she was ever like this awesome, amazing warrior, better than anyone else. But I think that aside, it's like I think when you're playing the game, you still have this expectation that she can do some of these things, and it's like, well, the game's like, no, we're gonna kind of present it the way we need to tell the story that's most important to us, and being a game is secondary. And of course, everyone knows that's not my favorite thing.
But like I said, oddly, the Furies, they feel like they're just there to fill the space because there's a lot of walking where really nothing's going on except those voices are happening. I'm kind of like, I get it. She's scared. Like we've said that several times.
Yeah.
Like I got it. Thank you. But then like, you're meeting characters and they're talking to you and they all have like, weird Scandinavian names that I'm trying to learn. And they're talking over the characters. Like, we can't trust him. What does he want? And I'm like, he's introducing himself. Let him tell me his name. Be quiet. Stop it.
Yeah. I think in the first game, you could like turn down the frequency of those voices or something like that.
It feels very like scripted. Like this is when they're going to talk and like that. That's just the way it goes. But oddly, I'm still enjoying it. I think what helps is knowing that it's only 5 to 6 hours. Like I know I'm not going to be here too long if I go through the whole thing, which again, it's like a weird backhanded compliment. I want to see where it goes. And it is getting a lot of currency by just looking so damn good.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I mean, that definitely keeps you hooked. Now, where this game does kind of depress me is like, this is the fidelity I want from a AAA current generation video game. And knowing how long it took them to make this game, to ultimately make what is a 5-hour experience for that they can only justify charging $40 for, it just, again, kind of in the back of your head is like, this isn't sustainable. We can't keep doing this. That's like, oh no.
Doesn't it like really make you wonder about everything? It's like
it really like, and again, this is a Microsoft problem, but like, you saw some of the reviews were negative. It's very all over the place. It's in the 80s. It's getting a good Metacritic ultimately, but like every bad review I see, I'm like, oh, they're gonna shut down the studio.
Yep.
Oh no, what's gonna happen?
I mean, I don't know if there's any world where this game really makes enough, right? It's tough.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. It's on Game Pass. If you want to check it out, it's very easy to get in there and do just that. I mean, I would not have probably bought it because I didn't buy the first one. But for $0 and 5 hours of my time, I'm willing to kind of see where it goes. I kind of want to put it on my Xbox just to see how it looks there.
Apparently it looks very good on the Xbox Series X. People really like it on there.
Yeah, so I kind of want to just check that out. Again, like it is almost getting by just looking so damn good. I mean, truly, I can't overstate how good it looks.
I did forget one other game. If you're done with Hellblade 2, I guess I'm interested. So you are going to see it through, right? It sounds like you're going to like, because it's so short.
I mean, if you know me, you know that I tend to bounce off most things. But I think again, because it is short enough, I think I can get through this one.
Okay, I'll be curious to hear where you end up when it's all said and done. So definitely let us know. The one game I did a grab bag today on Giant Bomb, the one I think is probably worth talking about, other than I'm going to play more Cryptmaster. I'll come back and talk about that probably next week sometime after I play even more of it. But Mullet Mad Jack, now that is maybe the opposite of Hellblade. What? Mullet Mad Jack.
You should look it up. Some footage is crazy.
It's crazy. So, okay, I'll try to explain it. I only played a little bit of it. I played what I played on the stream, but you start out, you have 10 seconds. And then that 10 seconds is going to start counting down the moment the level begins. And you can add more time on by shooting guys. And then you got to get to the end of the level. That's the game. Now, the way it's presented is like anime on crack cocaine. It is
it reminds me of like a Suda 51
Suda 51, like 80s anime, arcade games. Lucky and Wild is one that I don't know if it keeps popping in my head for some reason. There's a million things that like it's taking inspiration from. The thing is, it nails everything it's going for. It is as frenetic as that like setup makes it sound. It is exactly that frenetic.
Go,
and so go. So you're in like you have weapons. So you can either be shooting these guys. As you get in closer, you have a kick. If you have enough speed, you can sort of ram into them. If you're going down a slide, you could just ram into anything. You'll kill them. You occasionally pick up secondary weapons like a knife. And if you get in close or like you just aim at some guy, you hit the right button instead of the left button on the mouse, and you go in for a what is it called in Doom? Not a mercy kill, but like a glory kill. Going for a glory kill, and that adds bonus to you. And if you see a health stand, you kick that, you get the health, that adds even more time. And it's all happening in about like 30 seconds for a level because the time does get added. But it feels like it's so crunched together that by the time you get to the end of that level, it honestly feels like all of this madness happened in about 3 seconds. Like it's just like makes your brain feel compressed. And I was like, my brain was on fire enjoying this game. Yeah. It was just striking every chord that I come to games for. Like,
so I have like the Steam page open. It's doing that thing where like it's showing someone who's streaming it. And I mean, it looks like overwhelming in a way. Like I can but
no time to think.
Readable. Like I can see everything this guy's doing. It's not confusing. It's just a lot.
It's a lot. Yes, exactly.
Like, in a very cool and intriguing kind of way.
And you could just go. I think I started at a certain point like okay, I shot that one and I kept going forward, so the other enemy kind of got behind me. But I'm just going to go because I just got to get to the end of the level. And so I just started just going, and that added even more pace to the levels. And yeah, it was something else.
Now, did they have some online leaderboards in this?
I didn't see. I'm worried about that though, because if they do that, I could fall into that.
Seems like it should.
Yes, there's definitely
like very, very much like in the way Neon White worked.
Yes, absolutely.
Do that again.
Yes.
Yeah, it has a cool like Twitch integration. Like they will put like the Twitch chat on your video game because like the whole thing is like you're being like streamed to the world or something like that.
Right.
Okay.
The bad guys are robots. They are billionaires.
Yeah,
so
robo-billionaires or robo-billionaires. Yes.
Yeah, and whenever the guy starts like, it's time to kill some billionaires, and then he goes kind of crazy. It's pretty good.
awesome.
I'll make. I feel like watching Mike stream this would actually be really fun.
Yes, definitely. I think Mike would enjoy it quite a bit.
Yeah, this looks like something he would like. Yeah, it's like that weird mix, like neon white and a boomer shooter.
Yep, and it looks incredible. Neon drenched blood.
It has like that kind of like blood dragon.
Yes, 80s sci-fi
80s vibe.
Yes,
to it,
absolutely.
Yeah.
You are powered by the blood of your stream viewers or whatever, and you can see the blood like pumping into your phone. It rules. It's got everything going for it, and it's just don't take my word for it. It's overwhelmingly positive on Steam.
Yeah,
2,000 reviews,
$20, and again, this is what we say. Like Square Enix or Ubisoft is not gonna make this game, but someone's gonna make this game.
Yep. And this game is it's crushing. 2,000 reviews in a week is really good for a new game out of nowhere on Steam.
Yeah, it's made by Hammer 95. This is the only thing they have on Steam.
Yep.
Like these things could come from anywhere at any time. You just gotta kind of. And again, it goes back to what I said. I want games that look like Hellblade, and there will be games that look like Hellblade. Someone will always make them, but you're also gonna get awesome stuff like this.
Yeah, what did we say earlier? Like the best bet for these biggest companies to stand out is to make the most expensive looking games. They're not going to abandon that strategy because it really is all they have. In the meantime, I'll be over on Steam playing Mullet Bad Jack. That's just how it's going to be.
And all 1,000 times resist.
Yes, and 1,000 times resist. Everyone tells me that I probably won't enjoy that game. Is that still the position of you, Christian?
Yeah, I don't think it's too walkie-talkie. It's a walking simulator with like JRPGs aesthetics.
Everyone seems to love it though.
It is. It is incredible.
Let's see.
It's
Sean described it as like if you like being sad, like every Nier Automata fan, you will like it. And I was like, yep.
Yes. And then I think Michael Hyam played it. I'm like, and was like loving. I'm like, yep, that sounds right.
Yes, I bought it right away, and it's just like finish it like in 2 sittings. It's like a 10-hour game. It's incredible. It's like if you like Arrivals, then you will know a movie. This game like touches on that type of like narrative where like it's a alien invasion and how the people deals with that and try to communicate with the aliens, but like in a more like sad way because it's a very sad game. That's for sure. It's so well written. Like
kids
it has
and your sadness.
Oh, I did hear about this. It's more like the aliens show up and they don't attack, but like somehow everyone gets sick.
Yeah, and then you gotta like Ikaruga down the hallway or something. I can't remember. Yeah.
Yes, and it has some a little bit of puzzles and that kind of stuff, but it's mostly a walking simulator with like, and the voice acting. I almost forgot. The voice acting is incredible. It's really really good. So if you like that type of game, like that type of like very narrative focus, very almost. This game is made in Canada, I think.
Oh damn.
So, but yeah, I don't know. It has like a bunch of like the developers. I think they're from Hong Kong. There's a very it has like a Hong Kong side of the story.
Cool. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, yeah. So it is like a Western with like. It has a bunch of like influences from all around the world, so it's really cool.
I like this on the Steam page. Fully voiced. Enjoy more than 10 hours of playtime brought to life with over 15,000 lines, a fully voiced dialogue from a brilliant cast of Asian Canadian actors,
That's
and an incredible soundtrack from 2 composers.
Yeah, he's awesome. The voice acting is like the best I ever heard.
And then someone mentioned Lorelei and the laser eyes in chat. I haven't started that game. I will. It seems like a hell of a puzzle game. People keep talking about how difficult the puzzles are, and I will be the judge of that. I'll get in there and let everyone know how I feel about it.
Is this a Gilmore Girls tie-in?
I don't know if it's that Lorelei.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
This game was in that indie direct a little bit ago, the indie showcase. I think. I don't know. Seems pretty cool. People seem to like him. All right, I'm gonna hit the button. Do we have any more super chats?
Let's double check. No, we're good.
All right, fantastic. Okay. Ash Guy, tell people where they can find you. Tell them once more about 90s Disney and all that good stuff.
Yeah, find me on Twitter at AdgeGuy or Threads at AdgeGuy711, and check out the 90s Disney podcast. That's at 90sdisney.com, where next month for our 6th anniversary, Mike will be presenting an episode on miniature golf at Walt Disney World. You could listen to our recent episodes, the bonus about shopping around Disney, and the episode I did on Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, which was very fun. Jeff, how about you?
Yes, over on Giant Bomb, of course. Catch all our stuff there. Once again, go to Ticketmaster, search for Giant Bomb. Get your tickets for the live show. It will be a very good time. I'm going to try to get an extra Ambernick SP and give it away. I'll just chuck it in the audience, so maybe you'll get bruises and a free SP. I'll see what I can do. That's no promises there, but I am working with Ambernick to try to get something happening. Let's see, what else do we have? A bunch of fun stuff did happen on Giant Bomb this week. Obviously, we'll have UPF tomorrow. We're going to get back into the Elden Ring seamless multiplayer. Tune in for that. But we also did a grab bag today where you can watch me play Mullet Magic. If you want to like witness like what dopamine can do to a person in real time, watch that. We also played Crypt Master. I tried to get some like weird fan stuff, like fan created mods happening in GTA, and that game's just bad. GTA Online's a bad experience. I do not enjoy trying to do anything in there. But all that stuff's on the website. Go check that out. And then next week, we'll be back with more Last of the Nintendogs and Game Mess Decides. Almost said Games Beat. And Mike will be back in town by then. So we'll have those episodes ready.
Only to leave again.
That's right.
Pick his ass up.
For game,
maybe
5 a.m. on a Sunday.
Yep. We'll have to figure out what we're doing for Summer Game Mess. But yeah, what was that, Christian? Quick.
Maybe Columbus.
Oh yeah, we'll record a Columbros next week. Definitely looking forward to it.
Let's go.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself.
Bye.
And goodbye.
Dick.
Mary.
That's messed up.
Sometimes you just know when you recorded the worst podcast in the history.
Sometimes you know.
I hear no lie.
Do you suck it or do you lick it?
Yeah, I definitely beat it this time. Oh no.
Do you suck it or do you lick it?
No, I like dicks. Dick.
Super Bell Hill, let's go!